Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. We're here for a town board meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Tim, can you take the
Sure.
lead, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tim.
We do invocation now?
Yes.
Okay.
Fred, can you introduce
Yeah,
the
sure.
person of faith?
Sure. So in keeping with our tradition to have a person of faith give the invocation, today we have Pastor Rick Saladon from Living Water Church in Aquabog. Thank you, Pastor Rick.
Good evening. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I've been waiting since 2 o'clock, since 1:30, so, hello. Thank you, Madam Supervisor, council people. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be able to open this meeting in prayer. So, if you'll join with me. Father, we just thank you, Lord God, that your hand is going to continue to bless and prosper Riverhead. That, Lord, we're going to, as a town, we're going to continue to grow and be safe and just be an example of what a town can be when it has good leadership. Father, we lift up this meeting and we ask, Lord God, that it would be peaceful, it would be productive, and Lord, there would be great unity. And we ask it in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Pastor. Before we get started with the meeting agenda, I want to make a brief statement. Due to COVID-19 and the rising number of cases being observed in some areas, the police chief and myself concluded, and knowing the amount of cases that have been tested positive around us, we decided to, as long as there's a state of emergency, and again, due to COVID, that we are keeping town hall access on a limited basis, and town board meetings will be, the public will be excluded except the press, which usually consists of maybe one, no more than 3 people. Today, we're gonna have, this town meeting, we're also gonna have 5 public hearings. Some of them are combined. I know you're going. Some of them are combined, and you can listen to the hearing through Zoom. You can view it on television on channel 22. You can log on to the Riverhead Town website, and again, if you go onto the Riverhead Town website, you can also dial in through Zoom. All the credentials are on the website. Moving forward, can I have a first and a second to approve the board minutes for the July 7th meeting? Oh, no, that's you, Diane.
Okay, so Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay, Diane, do we have any communication or reports?
We certainly do. Under reports, Police Department submitted their June monthly report. The tax receiver submitted the utility collection report for June, and that was $243,843.95. Annual audit reports for Riverhead IDA and Riverhead IDA Economic Job Development Corporation were handed in. Under correspondence, we had a letter from John McAuliffe with comments on proposed legislation of Chapter 301-233 airport facilities and accessory uses. Kathy McGraw sent a letter, and that was concerning proposed legislation of the Chapter 301, the same thing, the airport facilities and accessory uses. Robert Skinner sent a letter in support of proposed legislation for the same 301-233 airport facilities and accessory uses. There were 4 letters from Manorville residents in opposition to purchase of East Main Street properties for town square purposes. And I also did get several other letters that came in after the agenda went up. One from William Von Hillman, and that was in regard to Epcal property. Another one from Sherry and Roy Johnson, and that was, they're also from Manorville. They're requesting to bring public water to the area, and also that they're opposed to the building of the properties downtown for the Town Square project. This one is from Lisa Donnelly, and she is also opposed to the project downtown for the purchase of properties for the Town Square project. That's all I have for correspondence and reports. That is it.
Great. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll now make a motion to open the regularly scheduled Community Development Agency meeting, while also simultaneously keeping the town board meeting, open as the CDA and the town board schedule public hearings regarding the same matter for 205. Can I have a first and second on this vote?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
The CDA meeting is now open.
Dawn, can you please step up to the podium and introduce the public hearings?
Sure. Initially, I think we have minutes from the last CDA meeting on July 7th to approve. So we need a motion and a second on that.
A motion.
Okay, Tim? Second?
Second.
Okay. Bayrott?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguiar?
Yes.
The minutes of the July 7th special meeting of the CDA are approved.
Okay, so moving forward, it is now, 2:12. And we will proceed simultaneously with the town board hearing and the community development agency on public hearings for the purchase of 3 downtown properties. Dawn, can you please, explain these, hearings to us?
Yes, and I hope you'll indulge me. First, I'm taking off the mask, but I have a little difficulty speaking loudly enough while I'm wearing it. I'll hyperventilate and pass out. So, and I have a lengthy statement. I think it will be helpful to both the board in its capacity as a town board and also in its capacity as a community development agency and understanding what's being proposed. So, first, we're here to discuss a very exciting project, the creation of a town square in downtown Riverhead, which will require the purchase of several properties located on the south side of East Main Street. Specifically, the town is proposing, and the CDA, to purchase 117, 121, and 127 East Main Street, which will be combined with the existing town parking lot immediately to the south to create a large lot that will be redeveloped through the combination of grant money and public-private partnership to provide gathering space, pedestrian connectivity, open vistas from Main Street to the riverfront, while simultaneously getting rid of the vacant and or blighted buildings that have truly hindered our revitalization for over 20 years. This public gathering, event / performance space could be flanked with smaller retail spaces and restaurants with office and or artist and senior housing above, all of which will improve pedestrian access to Riverhead's existing Riverwalk and downtown parklands. This will recreate downtown as a family recreational and shopping destination with a strong sense of place. Potentially, uses such as an amphitheater, interactive fountain area, or skating rink could be built on the southerly end of the town square to provide additional public spaces and entertainment possibilities. Improvement of the rear facades of those buildings with southern exposure to the river and the creation of a pedestrian pathway along the renovated facades would further increase foot traffic to businesses in the downtown and improve regional economy. The concept of the town square, scenic vistas, and increased public riverfront access has been proposed in every single planning study for the last 25 years, beginning with the 1993 East Main Street Urban Renewal Plan. Immediately adjacent to the town square will be the new home of the Long Island Science Center, which was purchased recently by the board of the Long Island Science Center. Having the Science Center on the town square will draw families with children to the town square, and the town square will bring visitors to the Science Center as well. The concept of connecting Main Street has been supported, overwhelmingly supported by the public process used to create the pattern book that we are shortly expecting to be completed. The only impediment to redevelopment in this area up until now has been the lack of ownership of the critical properties and a plan for funding. So I'd like to just give a general overview of the financing plan, which may be a combination of different sources of revenue. Initially, Riverhead's done a tremendous job of creating opportunity for public-private partnership in its downtown. Andrea Lonais, our former CDD director, and Rick Hanley, our former planner, truly laid the groundwork for this by creating the East Main Street Urban Renewal Area, and former CDD director Chris Kempner and other members of the CDD staff were instrumental in obtaining the Brownfields Opportunity Area Study. This study was then leveraged to obtain a grant from New York State in the sum of $800,000 for the project. Additionally, we anticipate the receipt of another 612 from Suffolk County potentially, and the purchase and 400 potentially from Jumpstart funding. We also have recently applied for $18 million in funding from the federal government, and we've been working through the supervisor and the town board with the Army Corps of Engineers, who are working to help remediate flooding using federal dollars. It's anticipated that the cost of creating the new property, which will be a combination of the 3 existing lots and the parking lot, and demolishing the 2 structures will cost approximately $5.5 million. We have commissioned a pattern book which was created with community participation that gives developers the design direction we need to keep Riverhead's history and eclectic style remembered in new developments. The balance of the funding needed will be provided through public-private partnership, wherein the town would contract with a private developer and leverage the newly created parcel to create the completed project with all of the amenities that the town and its residents want most. The single most important ingredient to this partnership is site control. If we don't obtain site control of these critical and centrally located parcels, a private developer will purchase them and redevelop them per their own plan. Additionally, we cannot obtain additional grant money unless we have site control. Said another way, the acquisition of these parcels is critical if we truly want to revitalize downtown with a town square. Without site control, we have nothing. So this board should be commended for its leadership, vision, and commitment to revitalizing town board and working to move forward in a unified way to make this decision to acquire this critical area. The cost of the land will never go down, and if we do not acquire it and make sure it's developed in a way that truly benefits the residents of the town, the opportunity to provide residents with the downtown they deserve will be lost forever. We've observed and received some questions regarding the project, so I'd like to just address some of the topics that have been raised so far. So initially, we've seen people concerned with the existing businesses. Since the town expects to demolish 117 East Main Street, which has been vacant and blighted for over 20 years, and 121 East Main Street, the existing and valued bicycle store will need to be eventually relocated. If requested, the Community Development Agency will assist the bicycle store tenant in finding more suitable space for its business downtown, where it's been a valued member of the community for many years. We believe that the bicycle store will be benefited by in the long term, as the town square would increase foot traffic to it. 127 East Main Street will remain and become the western boundary for the town square, so its tenants can remain. There have also been concerns about parking that have been identified. The town recently adopted a strategic parking plan prepared using New York State grant funds, and that parking plan has several recommendations to make parking better in the short term, while also providing a long-term plan for the creation of more parking as needed in our downtown. The town also recently undertook and will be soon completing a transit-oriented development study to activate development near the railroad station, which is sorely in need of revitalization. The town owns a 2-acre surface parking lot there, which has been identified as a prime location for structured parking by the town's strategic parking plan. Through the grant, the town is developing a new overlay district which would allow additional density and with the provision of a community benefit by the developer. That plan, which will be soon completed, involves leveraging that town-owned parking lot for the construction of structured parking. The project is expected to at least double the available parking in that area and bring new residents to the area through construction of market-rate apartments above the structure and/or retail office wrapping the structure using design consistent with the pattern book. This new public parking structure will provide parking at little or no cost to town residents and alleviate parking congestion in the busiest lots downtown. The other issue we've seen concerns about is flooding. Clearly, flooding has been a challenge to any redevelopment in the downtown area. The supervisors and the town board have been working with the Army Corps of Engineers and will soon have a proposal to resolve that flooding. In addition, in May, the town applied for $18 million in funding from the federal government, in part for flood mitigation associated with this project. In short, the correction of flooding will be an important part of this project and is not being overlooked. And lastly, we heard concerns about the town acquiring the parcels and losing the tax revenue associated with them. Currently, those parcels together generate only $50,000 of tax revenue. The plan here is to combine the 3 lots and then to resell or ground lease some pads on those lots. The tax revenue will be recouped there. In addition, the construction of the town square and its components will remove the blight and increase new visitors and increase property values all over downtown. So the net result will be positive tax and overall economic benefit. A recent cost-benefit analysis prepared by Martin Cantor CPA indicates that the overall increase in economic development from the construction of the town square would be many new construction and permanent jobs in the local economy, with $17.9 million of overall impact from construction and a minimum of $2 million annually from spin-off economic activity to the balance of the town. So that's all I have for now. And I think we could open it up to comments unless the board has any questions.
Okay, Kevin, would you please remind everyone to state their name and hamlet and limit the comments to 5 minutes?
Sure. Chip, are we all set with the meeting room there? Everybody's in? Okay.
So-
All right. So we're going to ask everybody who's going to make comments today to please state their name and their hamlet for the record and limit their comments to 5 minutes. We have a rather lengthy agenda today, and out of courtesy to everybody else that wants to speak, we want to make sure we have time to get everybody in. So, are we going to see the screen up there, Chip? Yeah, D. Kennedy can be first, but usually we see it up there. Okay.
So we're gonna bring Barry Long on first? Okay, so
Okay, that's fine.
he's, working on finalizing the planning book, and we're gonna have him make some statements regarding, hi Barry, how are you?
Hi, Barry, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Turn on your mic, left-hand corner.
Yes.
Barry Long, that's right. Okay, hi.
Hi, Barry, can you hear us?
So, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Perfect. So we're opening up, as you know, the public hearing for the purchases of 3 buildings on Main Street, and you are about to finalize the pattern book, and we thought that we'd have you help us lead this effort and chime in, and then we're gonna take comments from the public.
I think you're muted, Barry, if you can hear us. Okay.
Terrific. It's great to see everybody today. Good afternoon, town council members and supervisor. Well, we're very excited about the vision to create a town square for Riverhead. And it's been a long time coming, I think, as a civic amenity. And I think one of the most important things to remember in considering this opportunity is that one of the main differentiators in downtowns always, even though we're in odd times now, but always, is that you have a mix of cultural and civic amenities that traditional commercial areas don't have. That's what sets you apart. That's what creates the opportunity for a unique and wonderful experience. And you have more cultural amenities than most downtowns of your size have. But as far as civic open space goes, you have this wonderful opportunity in having the Peconic River, but it's not leveraged as well as it could be because there isn't a connection between downtown and the river. And this is, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. This is what you and your citizens have told us, you and your residents. So our attitude about the town square here is nothing ventured, nothing gained. And the risk, this is a once in a century opportunity. The risk is that this opportunity, if it goes away now, it may go away forever. It just happens to be that the timing's right. And I think we're fortunate to have elected officials who see eye to eye on this opportunity. It's unique. And it's interesting because we have a time when a lot of evacuees are out on Long Island from more dense urban areas, and you see how the town could change through the pandemic long term with more residents and serving more residents. But I think today you have the opportunity just to consider something that's really unique, and we need more community input, and we need to hear more about your vision as this idea is developed. But today you're setting the stage for something to happen in the coming years for Riverhead that's going to improve the downtown and keep it relevant for your residents. And it's really, I mean, we feel just privileged to have been here at a time working on the pattern book when this issue came up, but we've had vacant buildings that characterize the heart of your downtown, a wonderful downtown, for many, many years. You know, because you see them every day, it's a major complaint, and we have an opportunity to turn that into one of the greatest strengths of the town.
Okay,
And I could go on, but I'm not going to.
thank you,
Okay.
Barry.
That's how I
Thank
feel
you, Barry,
about things.
appreciate it.
Okay, Barry, so, two things, and Catherine, you might wanna, be available tomorrow. We have to confirm, Devin, with USA's, with the Army Corps of Engineer. We did move to the next stage. I believe we're having another
Yes,
conference tomorrow. They haven't sent us the link, so we haven't put it out. But can you confirm it, and we'd like you to be on it?
What time it is?
At 2:00. Okay, once they confirm with us, they haven't sent us, then we'll put it out. We should hear by the evening. So that's great news. It looks like we have the funding. It hasn't been official, but they now have set up the next meeting for us to discuss how to approach the review and looking for engineering defects in the riverfront. And I think this is the leverage also. I think it's leverage for the grants that we're putting in. It shows that, you know, all these years, the riverfront flooded and nothing was done, and now you have, I mean, the Army Corps of Engineers, they can shore up any shoreline in the entire world. They travel, you know, they have their own aircraft, they travel and they shore things up. So I'm sure they'll be able to take care of Riverhead. So, that's good news, and we wanna thank you. I know you put a lot of work into the pattern book. It did develop the way that it should have, because at least we're getting a little bit more out of it. It's just not pictures as initially we thought. Now we're gonna have the codes, and it took its turn. So it's gonna be on a positive. Builders are gonna know what they can build, where we can go. They'll have directions, the zoning is gonna be in. And so, the CEA director had recommended, because she spent a lot of time working with you on the pattern book, that maybe we wanna go to the next step and utilize, so two different efforts, but they're really one goal. We have the pattern book, and then we're gonna do the development, so, that's good. And any comments from the board?
Tomorrow seems like an exciting day where Jeff and I are gonna meet with Barry and get a sneak peek of the pattern book, which I think is either complete or very near completion.
We're going to do a page turn tomorrow, that's right. It's in, I'd call it final draft form. It'll be going to the town, and then we'll be getting a public comment on it subsequent to that, once the town's had an opportunity to review it. But yes, it's coming along quite well. And also the first item in the pattern book, supervisor does address the flooding issue. So it just happens to be the first thing you come to, and it's front and center in our minds too.
And then at 2:00, this meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers, so it's an all-around exciting day, and I will say it's been a real pleasure working with Barry and his whole team.
Well, thank you. We've really enjoyed working with the town and look forward to continuing to work with the town.
Okay, thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Be safe.
okay, we'll move
Thank
on
you,
to other
Chief.
folks in the meeting room.
And I'd also say as I exit, related to the town square and this idea of cultural amenities as a differentiator, Long Island Science Center is going to be part of this block long-term. We're excited about that, and very supportive, and again, just a once-in-a-century opportunity. So thank you very much. We look forward to hearing the discussion today from the community.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Okay, Chip, next in the meeting room should be Dee Kennedy. Dee Kennedy, did you want to make a comment?
Name and address. Name and hamlet?
That is the person's video.
Connecting to audio, it says on the bottom left.
Okay.
We're gonna know who they are and their
Okay,
hamlet.
next one.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to the next
come
one.
back.
Alyssa Kyle.
Hamlet?
It's still connecting.
It just. Okay, audio's on.
Okay, Alyssa, if you'd like to make comments, please state your name and hamlet for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Sure.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hi.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alyssa Kyle. I'm with Vision Long Island. I'm the placemaking director. And I just want to say that Vision Long Island supports the town's proposal to purchase these properties to develop into town square. Many towns purchase properties just to convert into parking lots, and we want to commend the town for instead converting the land to a public square for public use for people rather than just for cars. This will help to strengthen the connection between Main Street and the riverfront, which is one of the biggest assets of downtown. We've seen numerous proposals in the past for different concepts similar to this, and we're very happy to see this coming closer to fruition. The Waterfront Park and Green Board has contributed to their revitalization. We would expect similar results here. So again, it will not only attract visitors to downtown Riverhead and support the nearby businesses, but it will also be a great benefit for local residents, providing public gathering place and green place for residents to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Listen, and what organization are you with?
Vision Long
We're
Island.
with Vision, I'm with Vision Long Island.
Perfect. So stay in touch with us, with our products. We can-
Okay, will do.
You have any suggestions? We're always open. I mean, we have
Sounds
a
good.
direction and we know where we're going, but it's always good to be open, and thank you for joining us today.
No problem. Always happy to help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Peter Wanderer, are you with us? Okay, Peter, if you can hear us, you want to make comments
Yes, I
today?
can.
Okay, state your name, please, and hamlet for the record.
My name is Peter Wanderer, Wanderer,
And your hamlet?
and I'm sorry, I missed your second question. Ask again, please.
Your hamlet where you live, sir.
I live in Shoreham,
Okay.
Brookhaven Town. And I'm on the board of the Long Island Science Center, which is my particular interest in the proceedings underway today. I support the purchase of the 2 abandoned buildings and taking the option for the 3rd. And the reasons for that have to do basically because I think it will be of mutual benefit both to the Science Center and to the town of Riverhead. You know, I've been around a long time, white beard and all that. And so I've shopped in downtown Riverhead and Main Street, and I regret the loss of the stores that were there, in the Caves and the shoe store and so forth. And I see this as a way of coming back, but in a different way, but nonetheless coming back in a way that makes it very attractive for people. Basically, the creation of the town square will open up, as you know, the view to the river, and that will increase the attractiveness all by itself. And secondly, the creation of the town square with the buildings gone in the Science Center right there will be advantage to the Science Center, because the Science Center itself will attract members of the general public. In this case, then, members of the general public would not otherwise particularly think about going to the Science Museum. And we have programs for what we call citizen science, which are designed to engage members of the general public. Just to, you know, part of we try really hard to think about increasing science literacy, fluency with the general population, as well as other things science museums do, like entertain and tell history. And that will increase our exposure to the general public. And furthermore, having the Sweezy's building remodeled for ourselves, but also we plan to add retail space, which will give us rent to help sustain ourselves, but also then additionally make it attractive for people to come to Town Square, knick-knack shops, coffee shops, internet cafes and things like that. So basically, we see it as win-win, and we hope it will proceed forward. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wanderer.
Okay, Chip, next is Gail Pesner.
I'm sorry, were you asking me something?
Nope, thank you, sir, appreciate your comments. Gail Pesner. Did you want to comment?
Says connecting to audio.
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute, I think.
She is on.
Okay, Gail, hi there.
Hello?
Hi, did you want to make a comment? If so, please state your name and hamlet for the record.
I have no comments. I'm on the application of G2D and will answer any questions. I'm the environmental consultant.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Okay, next is Eric Beegler, Chip. Eric Beegler is next on the list. Okay, Dee Pedersen, did you want to make any comments today?
No audio, yes. Good video.
Supervisor, I think maybe we'll bring everybody into the meeting room like we've done.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
That way we don't have to wait to connect as long.
Hey, we got quite a bit of people on here.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
the most ever.
You're gonna be
So
busy,
we know
Chip.
Gail is.
You're gonna be busy.
We identify Gail for her.
She's with G2D, right? We can come back to her later.
So maybe if we ask them, we'll document them and that way we can roll.
Right. Sure, and then I'll just run down the list, and then as we call them, if they want to comment, you can unmute them. That way that you'll eliminate the feedback issue. Okay. So,
Little kids are on there.
okay, so Dee Pedersen, was she there? Or he there? Kelly M.
Kelly is here, yes.
Okay.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. Please state your name and hamlet for the record, if you want to make
Kelly
a comment.
McClinchy, Manorville.
I'm sorry, say that again. We didn't hear you. We lost you there.
Kelly McClinchy in Manorville.
Okay, go ahead.
I fully realized when we discussed purchasing these buildings that as representatives, the board is serving an entire town, and each person on the board takes great pride in downtown revitalization efforts, and that they're working to fulfill the requests of many residents. That's evident to me. It has been evident to me. All the members of the board have issued surveys, meetings, you funded the development of the pattern book, and the list can go on and on. But I do have to bring up a few issues. When do the hamlets in Riverhead Town get as much exposure? I'm sure that the town board knows where I'm going with this. I do not think it's appropriate for the town to purchase buildings for a town square while residents in Manorville are going without clean drinking water. I'm absolutely opposed to any and all purchases in regard to the development of a town square. A town square, while we can argue back and forth about the economic impacts that could be good on the town, that could also be up for question because the taxpayers are picking up the tab on this. No matter how much grant money you get, there's going to be bonding involved. A town square is for recreation. It is a luxury, and there are more pressing needs in this town than luxury. Clean water for your residents is not a luxury. It's a necessity and it's essential. I will end what I have to say here with a quote. In short, I am committed to ensuring the health, welfare, and safety of our residents. Supervisor Aguilar, I'm sure you recognize that quote. You said those words in your inauguration address. I hope that you continue to stand by those words as much now as you did on January 1st. I hope that each one of the board members listening today reflects upon the priorities that you know are right in comparison with the dreams you may have for downtown. The health, welfare, and safety of every resident of this town should be your very first priority, even the residents in Manorville. Clean water should be your first priority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
Okay, thank you for your comments, and we are working, with, the Navy trying to ascertain. I know they did some testing in April. We haven't received the results. It's a lengthy process. It is actually a naval issue. It was their property that was, contaminated, and then houses were built and things happened, and the town of Riverhead can't solely be responsible for that. We have to engage, and we have to be involved in their process also. And we did, as soon as I got into office, we did do a resolution in order to work and do a survey on that property, on that area in Manorville. So things have to take their course, and I will keep my word on it. Concerning the buildings, we cannot stop, because maybe there's a certain concern in one hamlet. We need to move this town forward. We are doing it cohesively with the entire board. It is not one person here who's, you can single-handedly say, that person is doing this and that person is doing that. This is why we're here today. I'm here with my board, and if the board feels that this is not something that we should do, it's not the right timing, then they're gonna cast their vote today on it. Okay,
And if I can just
Sure.
say, Kelly, I understand where you're coming from, and as you know, I've sent emails to Jason Himes from Suffolk County Department of Health Services, because when there was the meeting at the Suffolk County Water Authority, they were supposed to come and test your wells to see if the water was below the drinking water standards, and Jason has not come out, and the Suffolk County Water Authority is supposed to be doing the testing on those samples, and, you know, but they're saying due to COVID that they haven't been able to get out. You and I know that this has been going on a lot longer. I've sent several emails to Jason Himes of Suffolk County Department of Health Services, as well as Legislator Al Krupski, who was at that meeting also, and is getting the county to come out and take the samples so that the Suffolk County Water Authority can do the testing to determine whether or not your water is below the drinking level standards, which, you know, according to the 2017 test results that were done in the neighborhood, our water district superintendent is saying that they met the drinking water standards. So we're seeing if anything's changed. The county's supposed to come out, take the samples, and Suffolk County Water Authority is supposed to get us the test results. But we are moving forward with the map and plan. If it is determined that there's a problem with the water, we will be working very closely with the neighbors to make sure that you get connected to public water. I think the whole town board is committed to doing that, and that would be bonding that would be done through the water district. This is the general fund.
Kelly,
Okay.
thank you for your comments.
Yes.
And please know that we certainly don't take, your water concerns out there lightly. The board is, going to follow up on it.
Okay,
Thank you, Kelly. Next.
so Long Island Science Center. Would somebody there want to make a comment?
Ask them to unmute.
If you could unmute.
Yeah, I just unmuted. I actually was just admitted to the meeting a few moments ago, so I missed much of the other comments that were
Who
said.
are you?
Okay, if you could state your name and hamlet for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Kylan Kaller, and I'm the Executive Director of the Long Island Science Center. And I joined today just to talk a little bit about, the Science Center. And we, as you all probably know, are a nonprofit that's been in Riverhead for a long time, and we moved away trying to plan a major expansion. We've purchased the building next to one of the buildings that's in question here. And biggest part of our hesitation was probably the uncertainty of what would happen with that building, and the potential negative effect that building could have on families coming to visit us. We do have several thousand people who come through the Science Center each day, and our board was hopeful that if we located in this central spot in Main Street, it would start to help a revitalization of that spot that's been vacant for a long time. But of course, if we are going to have families come in, we have to make sure that there is a family-friendly environment for them to be walking in and out of the building. So from our perspective, this is something that can very much help and make it so that people are comfortable, particularly families. And hopefully, with us centrally locating in this spot and creating a more walkable space in the center of town, that will also help drive some business to the new businesses that would come up based on the plan that I've seen so far, as well as the businesses that are already in the area. And the other thing that I'd like to say is that it could be, potentially a wonderful spot for us to be able to offer more outdoor programming for the community. A major part of what we're going to be trying to be working on is citizen science projects that would be outdoors, and to have some green space to be able to provide that to the community would be a wonderful opportunity for some really unique stuff that would be just for Riverhead and not something that you have necessarily anywhere else on Long Island. So I think those are most of the things that we wanted to make sure that were said. And we're, if the project moves forward, we are very much in line with working with the town to make sure that we maximize what's going to happen in that space and in the future for that area.
Okay,
Great,
thank you. Okay, Tracy Stark, are you with us still? Looks like she may have left the meeting room. Okay. Kelly M. Not Kelly McClinchy, there's another Kelly M there. If you could unmute Kelly M, if you wanted to make a comment. Okay.
And they have the ability to unmute themselves.
Right, okay. Next on the list is Chris Kent. Chris, are you in for something later?
Yes, so he's on for public hearing.
Yeah, I'm here for the next public hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Kathy McGraw? If you could unmute if you wanted to make a comment.
I wanted to make
Please
a
state your
comment.
name and hamlet for the record.
Oh, hello?
Hi there, if you could state your name and
Yes.
hamlet for the record.
Yes, sorry, Kathy McGraw, Northville. I wanted to make a comment during the open comments from the public.
No problem, okay.
Okay. At the end of the
Do you
meeting.
want me to make it now? It doesn't relate to the public hearing.
No, we can't, we
Nope,
have
so
to
we'll-
stick to the public
We'll come
hearing.
back to you later, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, Bobby Walsh, you're for later on, correct? Yes. Jeff, right? Jeff, for later, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, Bobby Walsh is on the next public hearing.
right,
He's-
okay.
No problem.
Andrew Valeri?
Next
still with us?
application as well.
Understood, thank you. Cliff Baldwin? If you could unmute.
Voila.
Hi, Cliff, did you want to make a comment?
No.
Oh,
I'm waiting
okay.
for the next hearing as well.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Richard Wines, did you want to make a comment? Looks like he left the meeting room.
Okay.
Barbara Blast, did you want to make a comment?
No, I'm waiting for the next hearing as well.
Yep, got that. Thanks, Cliff.
Okay.
Barbara's not there. Okay, Robert Kern? Oh, she's there. Okay, hi, Barbara, if you could state your name and hamlet for the record.
Of course, thank you. My name is Barbara Blass, and I live in Jamesport. The town square and celebratory space has been a longstanding vision, as explained so eloquently by Dawn Thomas. We have the aquarium, the science center, the library, the Suffolk Museum, East End Arts Council, the Vale Levitt Theater, the Suffolk Theater, the Peconic River. These are all amazing downtown building blocks offering a real exciting opportunity. The town square, in my opinion, is just icing on the cake, and I wish you all good luck with this endeavor going forward. This could be very, very exciting for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay. Bob Kearns, you with us? Is he gone, Jim? Robert Kern, yeah. Okay, he's gone. Sando. Sando, did you want to make a comment? You could unmute yourself.
Oh, he might have just gotten up.
That's great.
I'm sorry, I'm just listening.
Okay, no problem. T. James.
Did he leave, Chip? Okay. Phone number ending in 3513. Any phone numbers left? No phone numbers, so the other folks are gone as well, okay.
Okay.
And one more. Axel,
Oh, no, I was just listening in.
okay.
Great, okay.
John McAuliffe,
John, you wanna make a statement, John?
Hi, yeah, good afternoon. First, procedurally, I think you'd save yourselves time if you asked people who wanted to speak to put that in the chat function and then only call on people who have said so in the chat function.
thank you for the suggestion.
Second, since normally my engagement with the board has been critical, I wanted to say both that I think this is an important, vital decision.
John, let me just interrupt you. We need your name and hamlet for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. John McAuliffe, Rolling Woods, section of Riverhead. First, I think this is a remarkable step forward as long as we've been in Riverhead, which is now 26 or 27 years. Main Street has seemed dead compared to what it could be, and I think you've taken are taking an important step. But also, I think that the consensus and the positive attitude amongst the board members is a great example, so thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. I know that we spoke in length on Dinah on 25 on Thursday, and you know, it's good that you know, to see that you support this this project, and we do have a great amount of support, and that's why we're here today.
Okay. Greg DeRosa,
He's with the,
he's on for the next one. Okay, Ellen Hoyle.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was in favor of this, and I wanted to congratulate the downtown revitalization and Catherine Kent for coming up with this.
Excuse me, Ellen, could you just state your name and hamlet for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ellen Hoyle, Riverhead. And so I just wanted to say that I think the board is doing a great job on this idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Ellen. Dee Pedersen is back in the meeting room. Did you want to make a comment? Dee Pedersen, please state your name and hamlet for the record.
Dan Pedersen, I'm here for the next hearing.
Okay, no problem. Last person in the meeting room, I think, for this is Shane. Shane, did you? Oh, he left. Okay. What about Joe Petroselli? I think also is in there. Joe, did you want to make a comment?
Hi, Joe Petroselli.
Hi, Joe. State your hamlet,
Long
please,
Island
for the record.
Aquarium,
Okay.
The Hyatt, Sea Star, Treasure Cove, Preston, East Lawn, to name a few. It's been a long wait. I'm really excited about this project that you're doing. It's been 20 years I've been waiting for some kind of Shelley movement. And I think it's going to enhance downtown. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an exciting project. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you for supporting the community. You've done a great amount of work. You're responsible for one corner of Riverhead, revitalizing it, and a lot of work has gone into it. And yeah, we're finally on our road, and it's a cohesive board, and we have a lot of support. And it's good to hear that you know, people like you are waiting for us, and we're getting there. It's going to be a little bit of a road. We have plans, and we're going to continue building on those plans, and we'll be there very soon. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I think that concludes comments on those two matters.
Do any of the town board members have care to comment on this matter before we close?
I'd just like to say I'm excited about the project, and I'm glad to hear from the community being so positive about it. I think it's really going to add a dynamic downtown that has been missing for very long. So thanks for the support of the community, and we're going to forge ahead on this.
and I would also like to say that, you know, I understand that some people have concerns financially, but as Barry Long said, this is an opportunity that we can't pass up. I don't know that an opportunity like this will come along again. And this is really, this is the central part of our downtown, and this is so key to our revitalizing our downtown area, which in the long term will certainly help us economically in Riverhead. As Dawn brought up, this is something that has come up in all of the studies along the way. This is something that's, and from within the community. In the last year, we had forums, we had 2 public forums, and we had 2 surveys, and this was something that came on very strong from our community. I think that this is a good move, and I'm excited that we're moving forward with it. Thank you, Dawn.
Okay. Jody? No, okay.
Just to ditto, piggyback what everybody said, the CDA worked really, really hard to make this happen. The board is in agreement on this, which is great. It's something that I think every Riverhead resident has heard about probably for the past 25, 30 years about doing. And I just personally want to say it's very exciting to me as a board member to be part of it as it's going on. You know, we've heard about it so long, and now it's going to happen. So it's good stuff, and I appreciate all the work that everybody has put into this.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I'm happy to be a part of it, being on the board for 10 years and talking about how to make downtown a better place, and having these blighted buildings that nothing has been done with for years and years and years. I mean, when you can get Bruce Tria excited about something, then you're doing pretty good. But I want to thank the CDA and the Town Attorney's Office and Marie Prudenti, who's here. I know that you've been working very diligently on this since February, since right before COVID, when you brought it to us. So I think it's a great idea. I congratulate you on your efforts, and I'm excited that we're moving forward with it. Thank you.
And again, Dawn, I know in February when we sat together, right before COVID, watching the world, COVID hop across the world, and we said we can't stop. And, you know, the seed was planted, and again, thank you, board. They jumped right in February, said, that's it, we're going, this is what we needed, this is where we're going. And it's been a collective effort. And again, like, as Jody said, the, you know, your support staff have been great, and the town attorneys and Anne Marie's been instrumental, and it's good. So we're going to start a renaissance now in Riverhead.
And everybody involved in the CDA's office, because I know that you've all partaken in this, so thank you all.
Just a big team effort in
absolutely.
in total honesty, really, on everyone's part, and I think I look forward to some real good results here. Okay, so I think
I need to leave it open.
we're gonna leave. Okay, go ahead.
And then you're gonna close. Okay.
Yep.
So okay, so now we're gonna close the public portion section, and we're gonna leave it open for comments for 10 days until 4:30 p.m. on July 31st at the clerk's office.
Okay, so then we need a motion and a second to close both the CDA and town board hearings on the purchase of the 3 downtown buildings, and then we would open it up to comment on any other matters. So I need a motion and a second.
A motion.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you, Dawn.
thank you. We need Bayrat,
Yes?
Kent?
Can I make one more comment at the vote time? I neglected to mention, although somebody, you did, I think, I neglected to also thank the Downtown Revitalization Committee, who did bring Barry Long to the table, and I know that Dawn has worked very closely with Barry. They've been a good team, and we've been appreciative of those efforts as well. So I didn't want to leave out the Downtown Revitalization Committee, who are working hard and volunteering for 2 years now. I vote yes.
Okay. Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
Okay, so the public hearings are closed, and it's, the CDA meeting is still open for public comment on any matter.
Okay, so why don't we have those that are visual raise their hand if they want to say anything on the public comments?
Okay.
For CDA only.
Right. So if anybody wants to make public comments on any other CDA matter, before we close that meeting, if you could enable your video. And,
We have a couple
Yep.
hands up, or one hand, at least one.
said Kathy McGraw, I can't see. Kathy McGraw, go ahead.
Yeah.
Name and
Kathy
hamlet,
Mc-
please.
Kathy McGraw from Northville.
Okay.
I just have a quick question regarding EPCAT. On May 26th, Chris Kent sent a letter to the town with an offer to release the second deposit of $500,000 that's being held in escrow, provided the town agrees in good faith to pursue the subdivision and all the requirements leading up to closing. I'm just curious to know the status of that offer.
Okay, well, I'll give you a status on it. The board has come together and we have agreed not to accept the, that down payment until we address the DEC and the subdivision. And that's where we stand. We are not accepting it. It was a gracious offer. It was something that we should, we decided that in the best interest, we don't have the subdivision. Is that correct? That we thought, Jody, we were gonna hold off on the,
I thought that we were not satisfied with the condition of changing the contract, and we were saying that if they wanted to change the contract and saying that we had to do certain things, that we wanted to counter with something else, which was
Right.
the preservation of the 1,000 acres, so I don't,
her question was related to the
yeah,
$500,000.
$500,000, yeah, so
So-
we were just supposed to take that money, the $500,000, upon the
contract.
The contract, once we found them qualified and eligible, once we got to a certain point past that, and they committed to actually buying the property. So they said, we're committed to buying the property, take the $500,000, but you have to do this. And we had a problem with the this, and said if they wanna change the contract, then we wanna make changes to the contract also. So I believe that's still being discussed back and forth between the attorneys.
No,
Okay,
you know,
I don't remember having a discussion about not accepting the down payment, but I would be in favor of not accepting the down payment.
It was a 2.5-hour conversation with our lawyer,
Yes.
so, you
Yeah,
don't
but I
remember that?
didn't, right, yes, but we didn't come to consensus at that time.
Oh, we did, and we all agreed that.
But I'm in favor of that.
Okay, as long as you're in favor, it's a matter of semantics, so, you're in favor of supporting that effort. Okay, next,
Okay, Kathy, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next to comment, Chris Kent.
yeah, I just want to say on that,
Chris,
the
name and
first-
hamlet for the record, please.
Christopher Kent, Farrell Fritz PC, attorney for Calverton Aviation and Technology. The first $500,000 was released upon us extending the time. The second $500,000 is not released until closing. We were offering to release it early to the town, just based upon you continuing to pursue your obligations under the contract. That was it. And there was no offer really to change the contract, other than for you to continue to pursue your obligations. The first $500,000 was released during the due diligence period. The second $500,000 has not been released. So there was a total of $1 million deposited. And we're not trying to hold anything over your head. We just thought it might be something that you could utilize the money for now. But we'd like you to continue. Of course, if you cancel the contract, you'd have to pay us back the full $1 million. That's what the contract provides.
Okay.
That was the offer. I'm trying to clarify it since it was my letter that I wrote, and I know what the intent was in the letter, which was to be willing to extend you the additional release, the release of the additional $500,000.
Chris, let me just interrupt you. Everybody that's participating in the meeting room, if you could just make sure to mute if you're not speaking, because we have all sorts of noise coming in. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
That's all. That's all. I
Okay.
just wanted to clarify the
All right,
point.
good.
The first $500,000 was released on the extension of the due diligence period. The second $500,000 continues to sit in escrow, doing nobody any good. We thought the town could utilize the money with the understanding that if you elected to terminate the contract, the town elected to terminate, the full $1 million would be returned.
Okay.
And we're taking advice from our counsel, but thank you, Chris.
Yes, and I think John has,
Okay, yep, moving on. John McAuliffe. Name and hamlet for the record, John.
Yes, sorry, John McAuliffe again in Riverhead in the Rolling Woods section. Chris, this is to clarify the concern that the implication of the language was, or the potential implication was that somehow the town was waiving its right to end the contract if it accepted the 500,000. That may or may not have been the intention, but we're concerned about the implication. The second thing is simply to observe that one of the inequities of this contract is that the town has had that property tied up now for 3 years without any compensation as compared to previous contracts that even when they failed, the town.
Yeah, the ones I negotiated.
Chris,
the ones I
Chris, hold on, John.
Excuse me.
Hold on a second.
John, we need you to direct your comments just to the town board. We don't want,
Yes, okay,
we
to
don't
say
want
to the
folks
town
engaging
board
back and
that-
forth.
And also,
That in
Chris
the
Kent- hold on,
previous
John.
contracts.
John, hold on. Supervisor
previous
speaking.
contracts, the town.
Chip, mute him a second.
Benefited.
Okay, go ahead, Supervisor.
Okay, so we don't want cross-examination going back. This is a public hearing, and this is a comment section. And we're not gonna have, individuals going back and forth cross-examining. It's not proper, and this is not the forum for that. So, John, you can make a statement, and then if Chris Kent wants to make a statement after that, and then we're gonna end it. So, go ahead, John.
All right, that's well taken. The final, I was just saying then to the board that if there is in fact any renegotiation, as Jody mentioned, might be happening, and I think I heard you say to try to regain the 1,000 acres, that would make us very happy to hear that that were a possible negotiation. But the particular point I was making was that one of the inequities of this contract is it did not protect the town from the extended period of contractual activity as opposed to previous contracts from previous interested parties where the town actually wound up receiving $1 million, or I don't know what the amount was, from the potential buyers. So it's just a point to the board about whether it's this contract or a future contract.
Actually, and if I could just clarify that, because Riverhead Resorts walked away owing us $3.4 million on that contract, and at the end of this contract, we'll have an 8-lot subdivision that we'll be able to sell if it falls through. So, we've never had a completed subdivision map, we've never been this far along, and there's value in that.
For certain, but would you necessarily want it to be 8-lot if you protected the 1,000 acres? That's,
Yeah, in the future, I mean, that would, I didn't vote for
you
the
can
contract.
protect,
I didn't
you
vote
can
for the
protect the
contract.
1,000 acres within the 8-lot design. That is, you can exclude the 1,000 acres from the 8 lots.
Going forward, and as those lots come in individually to get developed, they'll be going through the planning board process and the town board process, and there will be an opportunity for public comment about those acreage, that acreage.
Including, approval from the DEC, and
Yeah.
possibly even the Suffolk County Planning Board. So, I think we should concentrate on what we have now, and focus, and look, and whichever way this goes, we need to put this, if this fails through, it has to go back on the market immediately. And we're gonna work it. We're here just to deal with this mission-focused issue, which is the subdivision, working with it, and, unfortunately, the, DEC was reassigned to address the Stony Brook, COVID hospital, and, they're back now. We're gonna be working with them this week, hopefully, or next week, very closely, and see where we are, and see how we can move this forward. I really don't wanna think about the future, and this could have been, and is it 8 lots or whatever. We have to deal with what we have now, and then we're gonna make a decision from there, and that's gonna be a board decision, it's gonna be a collective decision. So, thanks, John.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, if anybody else wants to comment, turn your video on, please, so we can see you and identify you. Not seeing anybody?
But she's raising her hand.
Oh, somebody?
Samsung.
Yep. Samsung there?
She has, you
Then-
have to unmute.
On the left side, there we go.
Hi there, can you hear us? She's saying she can't hear us.
No?
Oh, she doesn't want to talk, okay, all right.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, got it. All right, so, not seeing anybody else? HP Administrator, did you want to make a comment? All right,
He's for the next one, Richard. With Cliff.
Okay, Gregory Gross just unmuted himself.
okay.
But he
All right, Don, I think you're,
Who's the next one?
seeing nobody else, we're going to move on.
Okay, thank you, Devin and Dawn. Can I have a first and a second to close the CDA meeting and continue with the town board meeting and other scheduled public hearings?
All right.
A motion.
Oh, second.
Okay.
Jody and Tim?
Yep.
Okay, Bayrat?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
Okay, the CDA meeting is closed, the town board meeting remains open.
Great. Okay, moving forward, to our next town board public hearing scheduled for 2 o'clock. It is now 3:10. We will now open the public hearing on the Riverhead Recreation Advisory Committee, going from 7 members, 7 committee members to 9 committee members. Catherine, did you want to introduce the,
So, the committee just wanted to have, more people on the committee so that we could bring in more people from different hamlets and have more representation for the community. So we just changed the number from 7 to 9.
What should people do, Catherine, who are interested in wanting to become one of those 2 new members?
Anyone who's interested can send a letter of interest to the town clerk.
Okay,
And we'd be happy to talk with them.
good.
We particularly, I just want to mention, one of the areas of town that we don't have representation from is Calverton Bating Hollow. That's one of the areas that we're looking for. We try to have someone from each of the hamlets.
Mhm.
okay.
Good.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Devin, can you let people in order, concerning, the Zoom?
Yeah, we're going to use the video feature again, so if anybody that's in the meeting room wants to make a comment on this public hearing, please enable your video
Or raise your hand,
and raise your hand so we
Or-
can,
Or unmute.
unmute.
or unmute yourself. Seeing nobody?
Okay. Does any of the town members want to comment on this public hearing?
Catherine, those meetings are when?
The meetings are usually Wednesday night.
Wednesdays? Once a month, right?
Mondays or Wednesdays, yes,
Okay.
once a month.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, no one, no comments? Okay, so we'll now close the public portion section, but we'll leave it open for written comments for 10 days until 4:30 PM on July 31st at the town clerk's office. All right, moving forward, it is now 3:12. And the next 2 public hearings scheduled for 2:05 are for the consideration of a special permit and site plan applications for 331 East Main Street in Riverhead, as was done earlier. Given that these 2 public hearings are for the same project, both hearings will be conducted simultaneously. Bob Kosovich, our town attorney, and Jeff Murphy, our planner, are both here. Bob and Jeff, can you please introduce, briefly explain the purpose of these public hearings?
I'm going to do the same thing Dawn did, but it's not because I'm too quiet. Usually my daughter has to yell at me to say, "Dad, be quiet, talk lower, you're just talking too loud." I don't have an inside voice, I guess. But today's public hearing, there's actually 2. One is to hear an application by 331 East Main Street for site plan approval. The project is the same in both instances. The second hearing is a special permit. Special permit is because the Applicant is looking to exceed the, I think it's 80%, that's set forth in the code as far as the allowable percentage of the property that's being developed. This, as noted by the supervisor, is a redo, if you will, or a do-over, as we used to say when we were playing baseball back in the day, and the ball went in the tree and you couldn't catch it because it got caught in the tree. Hey, do-over. So this is a do-over. We had a public hearing October 16th, 2019. At the time, the prior board heard both matters, the special permit and the site plan application for this project, which is 331 East Main Street, as noted. I would, first and foremost, ask that the minutes from the prior hearing, for the purpose of today's hearing, be made part and parcel of today's public record. It seems to me that I'm sure the applicant would look to make the same presentation for the sake of where we are and the reason we're doing this public hearings again. It would make abundant sense, so I am hoping that there's no objection and that the board would, in fact, allow this particular minutes, which were from the public hearing and can be found on the town website for that date, October 16th, 2019, be made part of the record today.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from that hearing in October 16th, part of the record for today. Motion.
Second.
Second.
So all in favor of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to hand that over to the town clerk. As noted, the application is to hear from the applicant. I'm sure Jeff's also going to address some of the nuances of the application that's before you. It is what some of us know as the former subway location on West Main Street. Also, Mr. Hancock, who's the a builder, owned the property, so it's that subject property, which is across the parking lot, or the east side of the parking lot that's between Salvation Army. I'm confusing things, so I'm going to let them explain it because I'm going off on a tangent.
But the reason that we're having this hearing again is because the town of Southampton, which is within 500 feet of the property line across the river, was not notified. Did we hear anything from the town of Southampton?
I have not heard anything, but you are absolutely correct. As indicated, we heard this on October 16, 2019. The reason the matter is being reheard is under 239 NN, small n's, Nancy. We were required to notify the adjoining municipality that was located within 500 feet of this particular project. That was not done, so that was in fact accomplished after the board voted to proceed with this public hearing. That was done by the town clerk upon information and belief. That was done by certified letter and by email, so she's confirming that. And that was the reason. And I have not heard anything from Southampton.
Thank you.
And as far as we know, I was assured by the planning department that there are protocols in place now. Is that correct, Jeff? To ensure that this doesn't happen again. They were apparently putting the checkbox on one of the forms, and so we're here just to rectify that oversight. Thank you.
Okay.
Devin, can you please admit in order on Zoom?
Okay. So anybody that's in the meeting room that wants to make a comment on this, you can do so. Enable your video, please. Okay, Chris Kent. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, hold on a second, I'm just getting it. Okay, thank you. I just had to unmute. My mouse was giving me a little problem. Good afternoon, Supervisor Aguilar and members of the town board. My name is Christopher Kent. I'm an attorney at Farrell Fritz in Hauppauge. Farrell Fritz represents the applicant, 331 East Main Street, LLC, on its applications for special permit and site plan approvals for the proposed redevelopment of 331 East Main Street, Riverhead. The redevelopment includes the demolition of two existing vacant two-story buildings, each with prior commercial retail uses on the ground floor and residential uses above, and the construction of a four-story 36-unit market rate apartment building with covered terraces and rooftop deck overlooking the Peconic River, together with associated site improvements, all on a 0.36 acre parcel within the downtown center DC1 zoning use district. So please, I know I'm testing your patience, but I do need to make this presentation since this is a public hearing. So I'll try to make it as quickly as possible. We did provide the town clerk with mail receipts and copies of affidavits of posting of the property and of mailing to all those required to receive notice of today's hearings. Those have been provided to the town clerk.
Okay, Chris, I did get a copy of that. It's about a 70-page document, and you provided that last night to us without any indication or warning, and you asked our IT person to run this for you. Yes, doing public hearings.
Excuse me.
Wait, let me finish. We allow boards, 1 or 2 or 3 boards, but not a 70-page document. You have it on your computer. You can run it. Just bring it up and run it. But we are not going to be responsible to have a 70-page document, and the IT department has to run it in such short notice. So if you have it, or you want to bring any component, this is a comment section. This isn't a work session. If you wanted that document to be addressed, that's what a work session is. You bring your presentation, you make it available, people discuss. Also, we did put it on the website so anybody can review it. We have checked legally, and this can be the proper protocol. So you can move on, you can make whatever comments you have, you can bring up on your computer, we'll allow you to share the screen, but you need to take ownership of what you have and not put it on the town for a lot of reasons. And some of it is legal, it's time consuming, and again, this came about yesterday, late last night, and it's available on the website and anybody can see it. We're gonna leave the public hearing open for comments, so you're being afforded as much opportunity, to present your comment.
Okay, well, thank you then. I will then take my time and walk through this. This is a public hearing, so I'm gonna go through all the documents. I was hoping you would have those since I sent them to you in a PDF. All they really needed to do is to be printed. I couldn't bring them to you, but I will go through them. I'll do the best I can here to present this at a public hearing, which is the time when we are supposed to go over everything we are submitting, and that the town is supposed to review. So I'll walk you through it. So the mail receipts were not part of the document I submitted yesterday. Those were submitted prior. The proof of posting and publishing and mailing, those were affidavits submitted to the town clerk. They were not part of the submission I made yesterday. Those were submitted to the town clerk earlier, and I just am looking for her to acknowledge receipt. She did acknowledge receipt to me that she had received them, so I'm just putting it on the record that we did provide proof of mailing, posting, and affidavits to that effect. This afternoon, we are before the board for public hearings on both the application for special permit and application for site plan approval. Joining me are the principals of the applicant, 331 East Main Street LLC. We have Greg DeRosa and Bobby Walsh, who are available to answer any questions that the board may have about the proposed project. The current property owner, Phil Hancock, who attended the prior public hearing in October, but was unable to join today's meeting. He could be available if you have any questions. We're also joined by our experienced professionals who have been involved with the design of the proposed project. We have the architect, we have site plan engineer Dan Pedersen from the Laurel Group. We have our environmental consultants Gail Pesner and David Kennedy from VHB Engineering, and our traffic consultant Andrew Valari from Stonefield Engineering and Design, if you have any questions about the traffic report that we submitted voluntarily. In the interest of time, we agree with the town attorney's suggestion to enter into today's record the transcript from the public hearings for special permit and site plan that were held before this board on October 26, 2019. The reason we're having today's hearing is not as a result of any failure on the applicant's part to provide the 239 double end notice to the town of Southampton. We have met all of our obligations under both applications. In October 2018, the applicant originally came to the town with a proposal to redevelop the 331 East Main Street site with a 5-story, 44 market rate unit apartment building. In response to comments received during meetings with the supervisor, town board members, planning staff, boards, commissions of the town over the last 18 plus months, the applicant has reduced the size of the building to 4 stories with a recessed 4th floor to lessen the massing effect and the visual impact of the building from Main Street. And the number of proposed market rate units has been reduced to 36. In addition, although the property is located within the downtown parking district, based upon comments received, the designed building includes 1 parking space per unit for its residents. The property is also within the downtown sewer district and will be connected to town sewer. The special permit application seeks approval from the town board to allow a proposed 89% lot coverage for the proposed building that complies with the town's schedule of dimensional regulations for the DC1 zoning use district, which permits a minimum front yard, side yard, and rear yard setback of 0 feet, and a maximum height of 5 stories, and a maximum FAR of 4.0 when connected to sewer. Based upon our conversations with the town, the proposed floor area ratio is now less than 2.5, including the covered terraces and the proposed roof deck. In accordance with the requirements and standards set forth in Article 57 of Chapter 301 of the Town Code, we asked the town board to consider the following factors in making its decision on the special permit application. Properties located within the downtown water, sewer, and parking districts, and is well suited for the proposed 4-story, 36 market rate unit apartment building. The proposed development site has 64.16 feet of frontage on East Main Street and 250 feet of frontage directly on the existing parking district access road to the west. That includes 21 diagonal parking spaces and an additional 21 parking spaces in the parking district's lot directly adjacent to the rear, the south of the proposed building. The proposed development will include 36 on-site parking spaces on the ground floor. In addition to the parking area, the ground floor will also include support facilities, which will be a lobby area, mailboxes, mail and delivery room, bicycle racks, building storage, and mechanical and utility areas. The ground floor will also include 3 window display areas along Main Street that can be utilized by the town or local not-for-profit organizations such as East End Arts Council, Chamber of Commerce, the Business Improvement District, the Marine Research Foundation, the Long Island Farm Bureau, the Suffolk Theater, and any other such organizations to display artwork, advertise upcoming events, or provide information to residents and visitors to the town. The western corner window display area will wrap around the west side of the building and front both on Main Street and on the parking district access road. The proposed new sidewalks along the parking district access road will enhance the pedestrian walkway to the riverfront. The 36 market rate units will be developed on the 2nd through 4th floors. Will include some covered terraces and the elevator to a rooftop deck that overlooks the Peconic River. The characteristics of the proposed use propose no negative impacts upon any church, school, theater, recreational area, or other place of public assembly. Due to the location of the property, the proposed project benefits from certain unique circumstances that enhance the accessibility of the proposed project by fronting on both Main Street and the parking district roadway, improved with existing sidewalks and curb cuts, the proposed project will enjoy easy access by car, bike, or by foot. The proposed building will easily fit within the existing traffic patterns and pedestrian access points. As previously stated, the request is to allow greater than 80% lot coverage by special permit of the town board, and it complies with all of the town's schedule of dimensional regulations for the DC1 zoning use district that permits this type of building to be constructed up to 5 stories and 4.0 floor area ratio when connected to sewer. And the applicant is proposing a 4-story building with the 4th floor recess from the facade along East Main Street to reduce the visual impact. And the building will be connected to sewer and has a proposed FAR less than 2.5%. All stormwater from the proposed project will be retained on site and directed to heavy-duty storm leaching galleys. The intensity of the proposed project is justified given the fact that the impacts are less intense than other projects that have been approved and or proposed in the TC1 zoning use district, and is less than the thresholds established by the findings and determinations made in the FGEIS adopted by the town board on November 3rd, 2003, and the dimensional regulations subsequently adopted by the town board for the DC1 zoning use district. For all the foregoing reasons, specifically the location of the proposed project on East Main Street and the parking district access road, and all the existing parking within the area, the proposed project being less intense than what is permitted by the zoning code and less intense than other projects that have been approved for development within the downtown district. We believe the proposed project is consistent with the intent of DC1 zoning, which is to allow, maintain, and foster a traditional downtown character along Main Street with a pedestrian-friendly streetscape with upper-story residential uses that will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the DC1 district. We also believe that the proposed building is consistent with the character of the surrounding area and will be an overall benefit to the community. The site plan application, also being heard today, proposes the demolition of the 2 existing 2-story buildings. Both have ground floor retail and second floor residential uses. And this proposes the construction of a 58-foot 4-story residential apartment building with 36 dwelling units on the upper 3 floors and a rooftop deck that overlooks the Peconic River. The height of the recessed 4th floor facade along East Main Street is 48 feet 7 inches. The reason for the 58 feet is the rooftop installations that are required to access the roof and to provide an elevator shaft. That's why we exceed the 48 feet 7 inches. The proposed entrance to the building is on the west side of the building, along the frontage of the town parking district access road. Based upon all comments and recommendations received from the town board, the town planning department, and the town's advisory boards, commissions, and councils, the original site plans and floor plans submitted with the application have been revised since the October 16th, 2019 public hearing. The proposed plans have been presented to both the Riverhead Town Landmarks Preservation Commission and the Architectural Review Board, where the overall the proposed plans were well received. The traffic assessment report for the proposed project was prepared and submitted to the town by Stonefield Engineering and Design. The findings in the report indicate that the proposed development will not have a significant impact upon traffic operations of the adjacent roadway network. The site driveways and the on-site layout have been designed to provide for effective access to and from the subject property, and the parking supply both on-site and as part of the parking district will be more than adequate to support the development. Since the public hearing in October 2019, the applicant has secured and provided the following to the town planning department. Excuse me. A letter from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation dated May 29th, 2020, that notes that 331 East Main Street is not eligible for listing in the New York State and national registers of historic places, and that the proposed project will have no adverse impact on historic resources. A letter from the Town of Riverhead Conservation Advisory Council dated March 20th, 2020, that after review of all documents, plans, and reports submitted, the CAC recommended approval of the application, conditioned upon receipt of the required New York State DEC permits prior to final site plan approval, and receipt of the Suffolk County Department of Health Service approval prior to construction of the project. We have received the New York State DEC Tidal Wetlands Temporary Dewatering and Water Quality Certification permits that were dated June 17th, 2020, and those have been submitted to the Town Planning Department. They were also part of the package that I PDF'd yesterday. All of these documents were part of the PDF I submitted yesterday. We've also received the Town Board Resolution 2020 Resolution 284, adopted June 16th, 2020, that issued a negative declaration under SECRA for the special permit and site plan applications of 331 East Main Street LLC, as there are no significant negative environmental impacts or significant negative impacts to the health, safety, character, and welfare of the surrounding area, as determined by the Town Board. We've also received we've also produced revised construction phasing plans that were revised to respond to concerns raised about potential bus access for field trips to the Long Island Aquarium. The proposed construction fencing was altered to now include a section of movable fence that will allow it to be relocated in response to a request for bus access made by the aquarium. Discussions have also produced and identified a temporary parking location in the downtown area for construction workers and deliveries off-site as may be necessary in the early stages of project development. We've also received an estimated assessment that was received from the town assessors for the proposed development that results in an increased total assessment for the property from its current $81,000 assessment to over $793,000 in estimated assessment, which is an over 900% increase in the town's tax base for this parcel. 900% increase. Current taxes paid on the property are $17,900. Estimated taxes are $173,000. Our economic feasibility report that was prepared by Camone Associates and also submitted to the Town Planning Department projects that the proposed market rate building will generate an estimated $7,839,000 of economic impact during construction and $1,734,000 of economic impact annually. That same report also estimates that, if any, based upon the unit size and breakdown, that no more than 3 children might be added to the school district population. An application was made to the Riverhead IDA seeking mortgage tax exemption and sales tax exemption on building materials and furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the project, and a pilot agreement. We've received letters of support from the Riverhead Chamber of Commerce and the Riverhead Business Improvement District. We believe that our project complements everything the town is doing to revitalize downtown Riverhead. The time has come, and we applaud your efforts, the town board's efforts and commitment to improving the downtown district, and we are very excited to be a part of it.
Great.
We're available for any questions from the board.
So are you asking that that 70-page document that was submitted yesterday be made part of the record?
Yes.
Yes, we're estimating that, we're requesting that the PDF that I submitted yesterday be made part of the record. It contains all of the documents that I just spoke of during the hearing. And I was looking to see if I could have you look at them, but that's fine. You can look at them at a later date.
Can you also send it to the board? I mean.
We did get it.
You did get it, right?
We got it.
Okay, so they got it. It's also on our website with the, with the hearings. So it is, and it's been officially put, I guess we have to vote if we wanna put it on the,
I make a motion, we take the 70-page document that was sent over yesterday and make it part of the record. Make a motion.
And can I have a couple questions to you? How many bedrooms is the average? What's the breakdown on bedrooms?
The breakdown is 26 two-bedroom units and 10 one-bedroom units.
Okay, so that'll minimize, children.
Yes. Just for the record, the prior buildings had units above the stores. And I don't know how many children were generated from those rental units. So we're not even sure if this would be even a net increase, even if the 3 children were generated from this use, whether there were not already children who lived in those apartment units attending school.
So what we're talking here is mixed use and mixed income. So it's actually a good combination when you're trying to gentrify, revitalize any neighborhood. It's good to have that mix. And finally, we're seeing market pricing downtown, which is a very good sign.
So I have one more question.
And I have some questions.
And my question is for Jefferson, because I just typed in, does the town board have authorization to issue variances under special permit? And I came up with a case, Court of Appeals decision in the matter of Real Holding Corp. Versus Allen Lehigh that states, in the event in the decision, in the court's view, the plain language of the statute was enough upon which to base its holding. It also consulted legislative history and found support in Senator Cook's memorandum. In support of the legislation enacted in 1992, the court quoted the memorandum, stated in part, in the event local site plan or special use permit requirements present dimensional difficulties to a particular applicant, an area variance may be applied for to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It also says in here, the Court of Appeals considered whether a Zoning Board of Appeals has power to vary a special use permit provision which requires a separation between uses on an application for an area variance. So, I am not thinking that we can give variances under a special use. I think all variances of the town code have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, unless we change the code.
And I think we should also make sure.
We're not requesting a variance.
Attorneys involved.
I thought you were for the lot coverage.
No, you can grant that by special permit. That's the special permit. You're allowed 80% by code, and you can exceed 80% by special permit of the town board. This is not a variance.
Okay.
Okay.
Correct, yes. I'll just, that section of town code is section 301-246, which just states that the town board may, by special permit, allow within the Riverhead Public Parking District Number 1, a minimum front yard depth of 0 feet and or total building area up to 100%. The dimensional regulations within the DC1 zoning district have a 80% building lot coverage. This application is proposing 89.1%. So it's not, they're not requesting a variance. The way the code was written, it's really just sort of giving the town board the authority to vary those, I don't want to say vary, but giving the town board the jurisdiction to approve above the 80%.
Right, and seeing as they're doing their own parking. I just want to make sure we're doing it legally, that's all.
Correct.
So, and that was a recommendation in the comprehensive plan, and it was adopted when the zoning was changed in 2004, is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
So just a couple questions. I didn't hear, did I miss it? I didn't hear anything about park and rec fees. Greg? Park and rec fees?
Yeah, there is a section of the town code which requires a recreational fee for new residential developments. That is something that would be addressed during the preliminary site plan approval.
Okay, so they will be paying that.
Yes, I mean, there is, we have to coordinate with the town attorney's office. There are some findings that need to be made, but that is something that we are working on, yes.
All right, very good. And, Chris, can you just go back again to the first floor? Is that glass on the first floor? Because we had a discussion about having it be more interactive at the ARB meeting.
We're not gonna make any revisions unless the town board asks for it. I think the ARB is advisory. If you determine that you want to have something different than what we're showing, that would be something you would include in your preliminary approval.
Because I had brought up that in the code, our code, it does talk about that the first floor is supposed to be more interactive and not just glass. That was a problem that we had with one of the other apartment buildings down the street, that, it isn't conducive to, having people out and about and making it a little more interesting. Just glass with pictures in the window? I mean, what does the rest of the board think?
I think that the ARB and the landmarks made recommendations, yes?
Yeah, I mean,
ARB.
if I may suggest, I mean, these are comments that the board has not heard before. They have been at the last ARB meeting. What I would recommend is we should keep the comments here relevant to the public hearing. I wouldn't recommend introducing new topics. Those are something that really should be brought before the town board at an upcoming work session. I would say within the next week or two. I mean, we've got all the pieces at this point. Unfortunately, as the town attorney stated, we have to kind of redo this public hearing, but I don't think this would be the appropriate forum to discuss modifications or changes to the project that haven't been vetted before the board previously.
Okay, just to let you know, that ARB meeting was several weeks ago.
And yes, and it has not been
And
brought
you
before
must
the
have
board, so.
gotten-
Yeah, I did receive the comments, so yes, I am aware of them, but again, the board has not been, I don't think it's appropriate to bring up revisions at this point when we're having a public hearing on the plan that we have currently.
Well, I think it's appropriate, because I think that it's important what the ARB and the Landmarks Preservation Commission has to say, and I think that it should be a part of the record. So I would like to make those documents a part of the record, because if we're gonna be making a decision on the special permit, those recommendations are applicable.
I'm not suggesting that we don't discuss them. I'm just merely suggesting we keep the public hearing focused to the events, the information that we have. I do have the comments from the ARB, and I am suggesting that we discuss them at a work session rather than at a public hearing for a plan that we currently are reviewing.
Yep, well, I think they should be part of the record.
Well, if we discuss them at a work session, then we may be able to alter the plan.
Correct. The next step would be if we come before a town board work session, either this Thursday or the following Thursday, kind of address the final comments, as we said, the ARB comments, LPC comments, and the board can make their final decision based on that point.
Yeah, I'm confused as to why it even came to us before we had ARB and Landmarks, but
I mean, this project's been under review since September of last year.
I understand
The
that.
timing of it was the application was presented to the town board. We then got ARB and Landmarks Preservation, I believe, within a 2-week span, and then we came back to present sort of their findings. So, I mean, the town board did see this application first. We received comments. I mean, I don't think the process is really being called into question here. We've followed the steps appropriately.
except we haven't seen the ARB. I know I've seen comments from Landmarks Preservation, but I haven't seen ARB, and I see a couple of the Landmarks Preservation Commission that are waiting in the backdrop, but it looks like the applicant is going to maybe answer my questions.
We've had 3 meetings with the ARB. We've had 2 in-town hall meetings with the Landmarks Preservation Commission. We've had a site visit. These all occurred in September and October of last year. We just recently had a follow-up meeting with ARB. We'll be glad if you want to make conditions in the preliminary approval, which is the usual what we do with the planning board. You guys are the town board hearing this. Usually any revisions to the site plans that are recommended by the decision-making body are put in the preliminary approval as conditions of final approval. So we are close. We've been discussing this with them for a long time. The ARB is in agreement on the entire building, except there was some discussion at the last meeting about the ground floor area that fronts on the East Main Street sidewalk, whether that should be windows or maybe columns with open areas. But I don't know if you want people congregating under the building on private property. I know that would be something we might be concerned about. But we could discuss it if you want to make it a condition of final approval. But right now, we have received several memos from both the ARB and Landmarks. The Landmarks preservation issue was whether the town was going to make efforts to preserve the Norton House, which means you'd have to select a site on town property, relocate the building, do some improvements to the site you've selected, and have the house or a portion of the house relocated to that site. So that's been in discussion for a couple of months now. I don't know if the town has made a decision yet on whether they want to expend the property that would be needed for the relocation and the sums of money that would be needed to place the house and make all the improvements to connect it to sewer, water, electric, and renovations you need to make to the building. You have to commit the funds to do that. So we are willing to participate in that effort, but we're not, a lot of the town would have to do much of the expenditures and the selection of the site. That's not something that we want to do.
Aren't we talking over $250,000 just to move that building and then to move it onto site?
The Landmarks Preservation Commission has done a lot of research on this. Cliff Baldwin, who's on the Landmarks Preservation Commission, and I know Richard has some things to say about that also. But I would just like to make a motion that the comments from the Landmarks Preservation Commission and the Architectural Review Board be made part of the record.
Yeah, thank you. And just to
Will
go.
you second it?
Yes, I'll second
Okay.
it.
Does everybody agree that the ARB and Landmarks should be made part of the record?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to go back to that, Chris, one of these, they had even talked about not having glass there, having it open, if you remember, at the ARB, so I would like to have that at a work session where we discuss that. Anne Marie, can you, I know you might not have it memorized, but there is a section in our code where it talks about the first floor and that it should be interactive and vibrant. Can you address that?
You know which building we're talking about, and we just wanted to find out the
Oh,
legality.
we're talking about 331, Anne Marie. And to my knowledge, there is a section in our code on the first floor about not having just glass there.
So it's really more of a, sorry, I ran down here.
That's all right.
It's actually in our comprehensive master plan, which, as the town board is aware, is the basis for our zoning. Throughout the comprehensive master plan, probably a plethora of sections, it talks about downtown first floor necessary to create a walkable community. And in the zoning, if you look at the laundry list of uses, they're all on the first floor, all active uses. So one of the uses is, quote, gallery. If you read the zoning, which was adopted from the master plan, because you have to remember that's the foundation for the zoning, it's not, quote, my opinion is, it's not an unmanned space, non-active with members of the public. Because if you read the totality of the documents, which make up the heart of our zoning, that's very clear. I don't know if that answers the question.
Well, it's not just windows where you're walking by and looking at something.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
some sort of interactive, vibrant, bringing vibrancy to the area.
Yes, if the town board looks at the list of uses for first floor, you will see it essentially mirrors that which is described in the comprehensive master plan. All described as active, to create that walkable environment, not to, you're trying to flourish the business activity downtown. That's the way it's described in the master plan, and if you look at the uses in the zoning district for the first floor, they all, quote, seek to have, for lack of a better word, a manned use that customers and visitors could come in during the day and visit.
And I don't know when you were in your office if you were listening
No, I
on
wasn't,
comment
sorry.
22, but okay, that's a good thing maybe. It was brought out, about possibly relocating the building across the street. And I just wanted to get the legality, the component.
I asked for a
Well-
legal opinion on it the other day.
Oh, does
Right,
she, okay,
so-
so what's the legal opinion?
So I did have a email exchange with Councilwoman Giglio, and I
Okay.
don't wanna be all cloak and dagger, but it's typically routine, and the town attorney will support me on it. We don't give legal advice on the record. So in my exchange with Councilwoman Giglio, for me, it was kind of like a fact-finding mission.
Okay.
Do I potentially have a legal opinion? But I have to admit, I'm not certain, and I would like an opportunity to further discuss it with the councilwoman.
Sure.
You know, but we were essentially going back and forth regarding the facts so I could understand what the real inquiry was.
And one more thing, and I did
Sure.
confirm with Greg that park and rec fees would be included in this project.
I believe Greg is working on that.
Yep.
The planning department, Greg, communicated with me. Jason in our engineering department, on behalf of the Rec Advisory Committee, actually, in my opinion, did a stellar job in creating an updated, town-wide parks and recreation map, not only identifying where they were, but the amenities that were also at a particular site. And Greg shared with me, he had some research documents, and he was putting together, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, essentially, for the future, with planning board or town board, a report and recommendation that he would put forward.
Because residential would actually, people living in apartments would actually even more, need parks and areas to go even more than neighborhoods, correct?
Correct, and that law was changed, the then town attorney, CDA director, Dawn Thomas, put that forward, I believe, in 2007, that apartments downtown, residential uses downtown, would be included in the Parks and Recreation, requirement for Parks and Recreation fee. I can also tell you that under the law, it is supported, and has been utilized in other towns.
And I'll move on, but I'm appreciative that Greg said that we're working on that, because I know that some of the, I don't believe the other residential apartment buildings paid the park and rec fee. So, I just wanted to make sure, on the record.
We should be hearing public comment, right? Isn't that the whole point of this?
Yeah, I know, usually it's public comment and then the board, but
Right.
we just went that way, so,
Yeah.
but we need to also hear from the public on it.
If I could just clarify one issue, Madam Supervisor, again, Greg Bergman, Town of Riverhead Planning Department. I do have my staff report here, which is dated May 26th, 2020. It was dealing with an update from the 331 East Main Street project. As you recall, this was right when the town started to open up again. So this application was brought before the board for an update, as there had been a lot of changes. And Architectural Review Board comments and Landmarks Preservation comments were included in that report, and they were covered at that work session. So the town board has received them. I distributed the report to all the town board members. So this is not the first time that the board is hearing those comments.
The final Landmarks Preservation Commission, I believe, is dated June 10th. The
Okay.
final report from them.
All right, thank you.
So your report is May 26th, correct?
Yes, May 26th, but the comment was that none of these comments had made it before the board. And I just wanted to state for the record that they had made it before the board and they were discussed at a work session.
Not the June 10th final version.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, we're gonna move on to the public. If anyone is, raise your hand, unmute yourselves, if they can hear me.
Okay, we're gonna take public comments.
Put the video on.
Yep, so folks can enable their video on their Zoom feature there, and then raise your hand. So Richard Wines, go ahead, if you could state your name and hamlet for the record, please, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Richard Wines. I live in Jamesport, and I'm also chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. And Mr. Baldwin and I are here to talk a little bit about the Norton House. But before I do that, I do want to say that when we met with Chris's clients twice at the Landmarks Commission, the commission believes very strongly that there should be some retail on the first floor. It's what's historically appropriate in the space. It's what's required by the master plan, and it's what's required by the zoning. Chris's client agreed at the time that it would be quite possible to put a small retail space there as long as it was non-food. And I was under the understanding that that was going to become part of the plan. So I am quite concerned to see that it is not part of the plan, and there are just those silly little vitrine windows in the front now, which do not produce any kind of sidewalk interest, pedestrian activity, or anything else that presumably the town board wants to encourage in that area. The main reason I am here is to talk about the Norton House. I am distressed that the various memos that the Landmarks Commission has submitted to the town board and to the planning department on this have not part of the record for today's meeting. Most recently, we sent an updated memo on June 9th with our considerations. That is not part of the record. I have no idea why, but I would like to understand that. But just to summarize, on the property now is an 1855 house built by Richard A. Norton, who was a blacksmith that specialized in fashioning ironwork for the shipbuilding activities that were so important in Riverhead at the time. And he also became, I believe, an investor in many of those ships. This happens to be one of the 2 or 3 oldest houses on Main Street. We didn't realize at the time how significant it was historically and what its connections were with the town's maritime heritage. We are aware that the house has been altered quite sensitively, I think, to incorporate storefronts into the front of it, but the rest of the house appears to be very much intact as Mr. Norton built it well over 250 years ago. When we met with Chris's client, he suggested that we consider moving the structure. And we very much agree with that suggestion that this building is worth moving. Mr. Baldwin will be talking about the technicalities of it and the minimal costs that we think are involved. But I just want to say that we've visited the building, he's gotten estimates, we've located a spot immediately across the street that happens to belong to the town. We believe that this building could be located there with maybe a sacrifice of maybe 5 parking spaces. It would then become an asset to the town, something that the town could sell to the user. We believe some of the neighbors might very well be interested in acquiring it to expand their businesses. It would also be another retail operation on that part of Main Street, which would increase street traffic and be good for everybody. We think that moving it across the street is because the expense is quite modest, that this should be a requirement from the town board that the developer fund these costs. It will be offset by the cost the developer would otherwise have to pay to demolish the building and dispose of those debris. So in short, we realize that the state historic preservation, the part of the Parks Department, has said this is not eligible to be on the National Register of Historic Places. And we agree with them that it's not of national significance. But we believe this is significant to Riverhead, and it's significant to Riverhead's heritage, and it would help fill a gap on the other side of the street where there used to be a residence. So we'd have those 4 beautiful residences in a row as you enter Riverhead from the east. So it would be visually beautiful. It would be a way to save a bit of town's history, We think the cost to the developer, once you calculate the cost of demolition, would be minimal. And so what we're recommending is that as a condition of approval, that this building be moved across the street to that site. We recognize there are complications we need to work through, but we think that's doable. So now I would like to let Mr. Baldwin talk about the economics and technicalities here.
Okay, thank you. Richard? So Cliff, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, hi, Cliff Baldwin from Aquabog. Last September, when we had the meeting with Chris and his client, we were thrilled that they came up with the suggestion for moving the Norton House, and it was completely unexpected on our part. We had no idea that they might come up with this, but they did, and we were overjoyed, and so we decided to do an investigation on what that would cost, what that would entail, and whether it was even possible. So, so for the last, well, I guess this was just before the pandemic happened in October, of course, and then things got a little jammed up, but things started to kind of come together in late February. And so we were able to contact a house mover who said he could absolutely do it. He went and did an inspection himself in person, Davis House Movers, who's done a lot of work in the area. We spoke with Verizon, who would have to lower their lines to move the building over the lines and then raise the lines back up again. We've spoken with Cablevision, who would have to do the same thing. At the same time, they lower all the lines to the street, move the building over. The lines are never touched by the building, they just move it over. And we spoke with a masonry company, a local masonry company called Marco Masonry here in Riverhead, who also gave us a bid for a pad that it could sit on over there. And so we mocked it up, we looked at it, a rendering of it, it looked terrific in the rendering. We can show you that if you like. As Richard said, it continues that string of old buildings, the ones that Joe Petroselli has done that have been so fantastic, and the Tuthill Mangiano Funeral Home is, you know, that's a gem, of course. So it continues that whole row of buildings. We think it's a win-win for the town, and I think it's terrific that the developer and his team were willing to go that route. I guess that's about all I need to say. I don't have any, we've got all the paperwork and all the estimates to you. I believe you have all that information. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Cliff. Anybody else want to make comments? Chris Kent?
Okay, just have a few comments. First of all, I didn't hear any section of the code cited for this interactive first floor. Was this discussion, I'm aware of the intent of the zoning code, and I did actually quote the zoning code's intent in my presentation, that it's supposed to allow, maintain, and foster a traditional downtown character along Main Street with a pedestrian-friendly streetscape with upper story residential uses that will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the DC1 district. So going back to that, I didn't hear anything about interactive first floors. I'm not sure. I mean, you could reduce that to that word maybe, but I'm not sure. We believe that we're going to generate people, pedestrians, who are going to come out of our building and walk on Main Street. And we think that that is the intent, and we think we meet that intent. Now, as far as pedestrian curiosity, it's going to depend upon what you put inside these silly windows, these silly display units. If we put something that's worth looking at, people will stop and look. So I'm not sure. I mean, I will talk to the applicants are here on the video, on the Zoom meeting. and they can discuss whether they are still interested in doing some type of retail use on the first floor. But right now, we're still proposing just to put in those display windows something interesting, something that will help the community, information from the bid, artwork from East End Arts Council, Marine Research Foundation can fill the windows. We can work with the aquarium. We can work with Suffolk Theater. We can work with the Long Island Farm Bureau. We can work with the Chamber of Commerce. We can work with the town. We could fill those windows and we can do them changing. We could rotate displays. We're not talking about empty windows. We're talking about something that when people are walking down the street, they might stop and look in the window. Maybe we put an old black and white television showing World War II film, and people will stop and look inside the window to see those televisions like you see. People would do that. As far as going inside them, we don't have a proposal right now for that. Again, I'm going to leave that up to the applicant, whether they want to address that. And lastly, Richard, I don't know how old you said the building was, but at 1855, it's 165 years old. So yes, if the town wants to make a decision to preserve the house, we will definitely participate in the moving of the house. Okay? But as far as site work, giving up parking spaces, reconstructing the house, and if you look at the proposal, it's not the addition. I mean, I just looked at it again. Davis Moving Structure is saying, is their quote, that they will move the main house, but not the addition. So I don't know if that satisfies you on your request to relocate it or not, but that's what they are saying in their estimate.
That's correct, Chris, and that's exactly what we were interested in, not the addition, you're right. And incidentally, the price for that, the entire move is under $100,000. So.
Well, again, I'd have to speak to the client. You have a moving expense, you have Verizon.
Okay, so.
You have the foundation on town property.
Devin, can you?
And of course, you have to take a look at that parcel you're suggesting. If you put it on that site, you will be basically closing the curb cut from Main Street into that parking lot. And your only access to that parking lot will be from Union Avenue, would be via an easement across private property owned by the funeral home. And I think you might want to hear from the funeral home because they're going to lose the use of that parking lot or some of the spaces in that parking lot.
We've reached out to the funeral home.
Hold on a second. Wait.
I'm presenting information to the board.
We said it before, this is a comment section, everybody's given the opportunity, it's not debatable, no filibustering on ideas and comments. You make your comments and then we move on. So
Okay, I'm not filibustering, I'm providing information to the board.
Okay,
It's
sure
a
you
public
are.
hearing, and I'm speaking on behalf of the applicant.
Perfect.
And we'd like to be heard when you're making decisions on whether or not we
That's
have to
correct.
expend more money than what we're proposing to expend, 13 million already of investment in downtown Riverhead.
And that's
It's
perfect.
gonna generate a lot of people with disposable income, because these are market rate units. You're gonna put these people on the street, because that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna be living there, they're gonna be walking out the door, walking down Main Street and spending their money. So you're looking at a project that has financial impact on the town, and you're looking for more investment from the applicant. So I definitely want to be heard on this.
Absolutely, and we're not limiting that. It's the cross going back and forth and the so-called, whatever you want to call it, cross-examination, that's not. You have every right, and we are affording you the opportunity, and we're here.
And I'm speaking to the board.
Sure.
I'm ignoring Cliff completely, and I'm speaking to the board, okay?
Great, thank you.
Okay,
Don't
good.
take it personally, Cliff.
Yeah.
Well, I take that personally, Chris. So.
Anybody else for comments? You could enable your video.
Yes,
Barbara Glass?
I'll defer to Richard Wines at this point, but yes, I would like to be heard.
Sure.
Richard, go ahead.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Deferred.
It's him at the end?
Yeah.
I just want to say two things to the board in response to Chris's comments. One is that this house is not terribly large, and therefore it could easily be placed across the street without blocking access to the parking lot or around the building access for the Mangano Funeral Home. Or there's always the possibility the Mangano Funeral Home might like to have this building as extra space, in which case it'd be added to their structure. So there are several possibilities there that I believe we should explore.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward?
And Greg DeRosa? Greg DeRosa, could you state your name and hamlet for the record?
I'm sorry, Greg DeRosa, G2D Development.
Okay.
If it was decided that this house were to be relocated, what's the timing on that? And who makes that decision?
That was a discussion that I had had with Richard Wines about the possibility of moving it across the street. Have you seen the estimates from Verizon and Cablevision and the mover and all of that they had done their research on and gotten prices for?
Was that question directed to me?
Yes, because they did have the foundation in at $22,000, and then it was, I think it came to a total cost of $75,000 to move it over to town property.
I didn't have a chance to review that estimate. I'd like to. And, forgetting about who's gonna pay for it for a minute, what's concerning to me is, what happens if the project is approved? Do we have to put everything on hold until we decide where this is going? Because what if the spot that is currently being desired is not ultimately where it goes? Are we gonna be, responsible for moving it twice?
No. I understand your concern, and like I said, I did have that conversation with the chairman of the Landmarks Preservation Commission, that if it were to be moved, it would have to be prepared and ready to be moved quickly. It would need support of the Business Improvement District, the Parking District, because we would be eliminating parking spaces. That could happen pretty quickly, and it is town property. So as far as a site plan to move it, to prepare a slab and put the building on top of it, it's just something that they have been talking about since I think they came up with their final memo June 9th, but that was sent to the entire town board on June 10th, including planning staff. And it's something that we haven't had a discussion about since, because we did have the public hearing so long ago. But I understand, and we don't wanna hold up the development of your project, and if that is a factor, then we need to consider that. But I think it could be moved pretty quickly, but like I said, we would need support. And I think that I see Joe Petroselli is still on, and I know that, Richard, you had told me that you had a conversation with him. Joe, do you want to weigh in on this, because it's right next to the Howell House?
Okay.
Joe, if you could just state your name and hamlet for the record, please.
Joe Petroselli, Long Island Aquarium.
Right.
Et cetera. Look, as you know, I've done my share of historical parts in the town, and I guess I've become a believer in Richard and group of the historical needs, or the I guess the special parts that the town would have. So I do kind of agree. I like the idea of the row, as Richard described, the four houses. Although I am thinking of the developer, kind of wouldn't want to be in his shoes right now, because it's a cost, and I did some costs myself. It's not cheap to move a house, put it on a foundation, and versus demolishing a house that takes 5 hours. But I've been through that, as you know, with the Howell House and the Preston House. And so maybe it's to be part of this town, this is what we have to do, to be part of a historical town, to be part of all the offerings that the town gives us, whether it be parking district, zero lot lines. This is all the due diligence or the dues that we have to pay to belong to this great town. So whether it's a parking lot, $120,000 parking lot that I install, well, guess what? Maybe we have to cough up a few dollars and to make it what I believe is important to the town. So I do like the idea of it, if we could move it. I did mention to Richard, if we can incorporate this in the waterside area that we were doing. Maybe we could find some funds to involve in that, the meeting we just had prior, and try to involve it, make it part of that importance. I also spoke to Richard about maybe maintaining the lower level as some kind of rental space, whoever occupies it, to keep it a storefront store, and maybe utilize it. Maybe even the town could utilize the space, and rather than be so spread out, as we have what we did with the East Lawn. I feel for the developer, but it is going to be a few dollars. And I do agree with him with the time, that okay, so we do agree. Now, as a builder, which I am, the first thing you got to do is take the building or move the building or take it down to continue his project on a quick schedule. And I believe his schedule is realistic at 12, 14 months, but he's got to go some. So weighing all these different things, I hope we can help him and help him get the building moved, or contribute both the town and him, the developer, to keep the town great.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Yes, please.
Barbara, go ahead, state your name and hamlet, please.
Of course, my name is Barbara Blass and I live in Jamesport. First, I'm totally excited about the opportunity for the Norton House. I had no idea it was still an option on the table, and I would totally endorse anything and any efforts expended to help preserve that structure. I think anything we can do that maintains a little bit of character and celebrates our historic nature lends a great balance to the downtown at this point, and I think that would be a great asset, and I commend Mr. Petroselli also for all of the work he's done over the years in that very specific regard. I also totally agree that the inclusion of a ground floor garage and display space in the lobby does not constitute a mixed use as envisioned in the planning and zoning documents and studies. With respect to the IDA, I did watch the applicant's presentation before the IDA on July 13th, and thought came to mind. I'm just wondering if, before the town board approves another special permanent site plan for a project that's contingent upon IDA benefits, maybe an analysis of the projects currently receiving IDA benefits and those future projects that you expect could also seek relief, could be, that information could be very important in determining whether we continue to provide this and what the ultimate benefit it is to the town. We all certainly acknowledge the goal and the significance of revitalizing the downtown, and I think we could also benefit, we understand that Empire Zone and an Opportunity Zone are designed for appropriate tax incentive programs, but that kind of a cumulative analysis of the tax abatements awarded in the downtown and their duration is important, since it affects every Riverhead taxpayer directly, and I think it would be an exercise that would be well worthwhile. And final comment, I'm just wondering where we are with respect to the number of approved and constructed and proposed apartments as it relates to the 500-unit cap in the downtown? Do we have an idea of that?
We're right at the 500, including the Sears site that there's an application pending. So this would make it like 498, something like that. We're right at the cusp of 500.
Jefferson, is that the current numbers that you guys have?
Mm-hmm. I could do the math
Okay.
right here.
So does that mean any other projects within the downtown area or the expanded downtown area would need some action by the town board? Or is it something that you're going to just adopt as policy at this point and say we've accomplished what we needed and anything outside of the immediate DC1 district was never part of that cap to begin with?
I know that, Tim, you had done some research about it, and it was 500 units that have obtained a certificate of occupancy, not necessarily an application that was submitted. So I know that that had been kicked over to the Code Revision Committee to take a look at. I think, Tim, did you do that?
Not the code revision, but we've discussed it with the upcoming comprehensive plan, and it's something we plan on addressing. Absolutely, it's very important to address.
Yeah, because it says that, it doesn't say 500 permits, it says 500 certificate of occupancies of
Right.
apartments.
Correct, and I understand that nuance. It's just that at some point you build these, the apartments and you anticipate that they will be getting certificates of occupancy, and those that are in the process, I'm just wondering where and when you start to quantify that to know that we're reaching that saturation that was important.
Yeah, if the projects are approved, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
And that's a good point, but, you know, the 500, I just would like to see us look at some of the other DC areas, if we're going to expand residential beyond the 500.
It's the DC one that says 500
Right.
cap.
I'm aware of that, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else for comments? Richard Wines, go ahead. State your name and hamlet, please, again, for the record.
It's Richard Wines again from Jamesport, and I'd just like to say in response to Greg's comments, first of all, we appreciated his suggestion about moving the house. We recognize, as Joe said, that we would not want to hold up this project, or as Jody just said, we would need to expedite approval. So what I would propose is I would like to have the support of the town board in pursuing the goal of preserving the house, moving it across the street. And I would like to say we should be working with Mr. DeRosa to figure out, and any other government agencies who need to make it happen, to make sure that this doesn't significantly, can be done in a way it doesn't significantly impact his building schedule. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are we done here? Oh, one more here.
No, I just want to confirm for the rest.
Chris, your name and hamlet. I need it
5 minutes.
for Diane.
Go ahead, Chris.
Chris, go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm for the record that the three proposals, the bids that came from Verizon and the Marco and, not Polo, but Marco and Davis, totals $84,000, a little over $84,000. The question was asked and I wanted to provide that information.
Okay, great.
Okay. I think that's it for public comments.
Okay, we'll now, hearing no other comments, we'll now close the public portion of this public hearing. We'll leave it open for written comments up to for 10 days until 4:30 p.m. on July 17th at the clerk's, I was going to say clown. Guess I'm getting tired, sorry about that. At the town clerk's office.
As long as it's not the crazy clown.
Yeah, right. She's a good clown though, right? We'll now move on to the public comments on the resolutions that we have before us today. Does anyone wish to be heard on the resolutions?
Any comments?
Unmute, put your audio on and raise your hand. Anyone comment?
Seeing nobody for comments?
No one for comments?
Sophie, Barbara Lenz?
No, they didn't unmute.
Okay, well, Dan, can you please read the resolutions?
There's only one, it's not coming up on my screen.
Who's what?
Pulling, like, the first resolution to read it.
You.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just gonna take this down a little bit here. Resolution 340.
Appoints a planning aide, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 341.
Appoints a wastewater treatment plant operator, 3A. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 342.
Appoints a wastewater treatment plant operator trainee. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 343.
Appoints a wastewater treatment plant operator trainee. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 344.
Appoints a wastewater treatment plant operator trainee, so moved.
Vote please.
Second.
Someone
Tim's
second?
got a second.
Seconded?
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 345.
Accepts resignation. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Craig Vasey for his years of service with IT. Craig's a personal friend and a very bright guy and was...
No, this is his son resigning from the police
Yeah,
department.
PD.
Oh,
Yeah. I think he's going to another PD, correct?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
oh, I thought this was IT.
But you could say he's a great kid of a
He
great man.
is a great kid.
Right?
He doesn't stop us.
Never mind.
That's okay. I'll move on. Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 346.
Promotes a detective. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, congratulations, Charlie Masseri.
Giglio.
Yes, he's been acting in the position for the last 18 months, and as per the contract, then they get promoted to detective. So yes.
Aguirre.
I'm gonna say yes, and, good luck.
Yes.
We look forward to, him serving our town, and again, it's well-deserved, and this is a built-in promotion. It's not just a general promotion, and it was well overdue, and I look forward to working with him.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 347.
Ratifies the promotion of a detective. So moved.
Second?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, congratulations, Detective Carey.
Giglio.
Yes, congratulations.
Aguirre.
Congratulations. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 348.
Sorry?
You again.
Grants excavation exportation permit as provided by Chapter 229 to Riverhead Retail Partners LLC. So moved.
Vote please.
Seconded.
Oh, sorry.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 349.
Resolution and consent approving the dedication of highways known as Berman Boulevard.
Yes, you're tabling.
Okay, I'll read it. Berman Boulevard, Scott Avenue, Jan Way, and David Court in the subdivision known as Calverton Camelot 2. So moved.
I'd like to make a motion to table this, please. I spoke with the highway super today, and he does have a couple of concerns. It was never brought to him directly, and he does have some concerns, so I'd like to talk about it.
I would second that.
Great.
Make
To
make a
table.
motion to table the application.
Made a motion to table, yep.
Okay.
And seconded,
Okay. Bayrock.
yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 349 is tabled. Resolution 350.
Refund request of special event application fee for Rugged Races LLC, Rugged Maniac 5K obstacle race. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote please.
Bayrock.
yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 351.
Extend bid non pro tunc for automotive parts, so moved.
Second?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 352.
Awards bid for propane fuel 2020. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 353.
Rejects bids for installation of groundwater monitoring wells, capital project number 4, Riverhead Water District project number RDWD 1804. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 354.
Authorize purchase of 2020 or newer Freightliner for use by the Town of Riverhead Highway Department. So moved.
Seconded.
I'd like to make a
I thought that we were.
motion to table this.
We were gonna go through the purchasing agent, I thought.
Yeah, that's why I'd like to make a motion to table this. It hasn't yet come across through the purchasing agent, so I wanted to get through her first before we actually go to resolution on this.
Yes, and
So I would-
we had in the last meeting agreed that we're gonna
It would go through her.
extensively, whether it's auctions,
Right.
purchases, going through the state through the share program, that we are gonna use the expertise of the, purchasing officer.
Mhm. So I'd like to make a motion to table resolution number 354.
Somebody wanna
I'll
second?
second.
Okay, so take a vote, please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes to table.
Hubbard.
Yes to table.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 354 is tabled. Resolution 355.
Awards bid, installation of sewer mains and appurtenances to serve 1133 Old Country Road, Riverhead, former Sergeant's Recreational Center, and adjacent former Blockbuster Video Facility, Suffolk County Tax Map 0600-108-4-6.4 and 6.6 and 7, Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 356.
Sergeant's Recreational Center Sewer Extension Capital Improvement Project number 81902, budget adjustment. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 357.
Resolution to amend authorization for a highway department purchase of bucket truck set forth in resolution 2018-562 adopted on July 17, 2018. So moved.
I
Seconded?
thought this was gonna be another one that was
Yeah,
going
this
through
should-
the
No,
first-
this was the one we approved at work session
Yeah,
to.
this was the
Well, the
one
To increase to the diesel engine,
Right,
the one that we agreed at on work session. It was
Yep.
ordered, he has it already,
okay.
and we
Yeah.
agreed that, because
Right.
he upgraded it to the diesel, and it was a $5,600
Right.
charge or
Okay,
whatever.
so
Right, 7,556.
I'm sorry, that's what it
Yep.
was.
okay, so it's after the approval, so this is not the 133, this
Right.
is just the
Right,
75.
correct.
And it was
correct.
for the upgrades, for the, conversion from
Gas
gas
to
to
diesel.
diesel?
Yep,
Okay, so that was moved and seconded?
Yes.
yes, I believe so.
Yes,
Bayrock.
vote please.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 358.
Authorizes supervisor to execute change order number 1, rehabilitation of plant number 4, contract M, line system replacement with Atlantic Wells Incorporated, Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 359.
Pier Avenue Vault Project number 30141, closure and return of funds. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 360.
Adopts a local law to amend chapter 301 entitled Zoning and Land Development of the Code of the Town of Riverhead regarding seaplanes. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I'm very pleased to move forward with this. I want to thank the Code Revision Committee and the Helicopter Task Noise Force for helping me get this going. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
I just want to ask Bob, was this changed to reflect that the EPCAL runway would be exempt from this, as it was discussed at the public hearing?
That was part of the change, yes.
Okay.
And it was so yes.
Okay.
It was to say CDA property, yes.
Okay, yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 361.
361?
That's you. Want me to have it?
Yeah, I do, but I just went to,
You want this?
got it. Order calling for a public hearing, Calverton Sewer District, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 362.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice for a public hearing for the special permit application known as 48 Cromer LLC on parcel located at 48 Cromer Avenue, Riverhead, New York, identified as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-119-1-32-.1. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 363.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice for a public hearing for the site plan application known as Eastern Wholesale Fence, Caps Realty Holdings LLC, on a parcel located at 301 Scott Avenue, Calverton, New York, also identified as Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-135.2-1-6. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre. Resolution adopted. Resolution 364.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing to consider a proposed local law amending chapter 301 entitled Zoning and Land Development. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 365.
Classifies the special permit and site plan applications known as Crown Castle at Fresh Pond Avenue as Type 1 action pursuant to SECRA, and authorizes the planning department to circulate a lead agency request for the purposes of coordinated SECRA review, Fresh Pond Avenue, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-77-2-2. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 366.
Pays the bills. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, I have two resolutions I would like to bring up from the floor if I could. I will read resolution first, number 367. Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend chapter 301 entitled Zoning and Land Development of the Riverhead Town Code for outdoor car storage. So I would like to make a motion.
Second.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Okay, Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
This is to bring it off the floor.
Yes.
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 Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 367 is taken off the floor.
No.
Okay, now
Yes,
I'd like to
no,
read 367 again for a vote.
For a vote.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to consider a local law to amend chapter 301 entitled Zoning and Land Development of the Riverhead Town Code, outdoor car storage. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
And this is for the public hearing. This is the same one we brought up last year, but there have been a few minor changes, correct?
No,
We
this is
will.
adopting it.
This is the adoption?
This is.
No, it's publish and post.
No, this is the publish and post.
It's publish and post.
Where does it say when it's gonna be?
Bob, there were some minor changes. Are you gonna discuss them now, or are you gonna wait and do them at the public hearing?
This is just requesting lead agency on it.
No, that's the next one I'm gonna do, Jody. That's
You
the
know what,
second one
Jody?
I'm gonna do.
This is.
Jody, I might have gotten the numbers
You have-
mixed
they're
up.
backwards? Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
That's why I'm like, what?
No, that's
Yeah.
not right.
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
know if Bob just wanted to mention, because we do have the public hearing coming up, it gives people a chance to,
Well,
Speak to it.
the notice that's going to go in the paper is going to have the final draft of what it is that's been proposed.
Okay.
So this is just to let the public be heard, but as you know, this thing's been bouncing around since, I think, January of 2018, and we've gone through it many, many times. And what happened was, in August of last year, there was a work session discussion with the board, and some comments were brought up about where lots are together, reducing the setbacks so that if an industrial lot is next to an industrial lot, they would not have to have a 50-foot buffer, because then it would be, in all essence, 100 feet between
Right.
one. So the thought was that was interior lines would be modified to 25 feet.
Mhm.
So that was the one change from the draft that you saw in August of 2019.
And it
The
also
other-
has the, okay.
And the other was the security booth. There was a desire to have a small building there, so that when buildings are when cars are being brought in, there would be somebody who could monitor them, keep an eye on them, and provide security. So those are the two changes that took place from August of last year. And that's the law that's being proposed to go forward for the public to be heard.
So it's just, the setbacks, the only setbacks that got changed were the interior setbacks.
That's correct.
And the structure is limited to a certain size though, right?
25 square feet.
Yep.
What's that?
25 square feet.
Okay, it's hard to
Alright.
hear through these masks.
Okay, I know.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'd also like to make a motion to bring up from the, I'm sorry.
We have to vote?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep, go
I
ahead.
think, Catherine, we were up to you?
Yes.
So you're a yes, okay. Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes, and I surrender because at the public hearings, we were talking about industrial A and industrial C. And then the dealerships really need this like right now, sooner than later. So, you know, industrial A, I wanted to preserve it for industrial A, but I can't think of a better place to park the cars. So I wish it was industrial A and industrial C with special permit, but it still is industrial A with special permit. So I'll vote yes on the proposed legislation for the public hearing.
Okay. Aguirre?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, resolution 367 is adopted.
And thanks, Tim, for doing such a great job and forging ahead.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to make a motion to bring up from the floor resolution number 368, and I will read same. Classifies proposed code amendment to chapter 301, zoning and land development for automobile storage in industrial A zoning use district as a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA and request lead agency. Motion to bring up from the floor.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes, to bring it off the floor.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
Resolution 368 is taken off the floor.
Now we have to vote on it.
Correct.
Resolution 368 classifies proposed code amendment to Chapter 301, zoning and land development for automotive storage in Industrial A zoning use district as a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA and request lead agency. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
Resolution 368 is adopted.
Okay. On that? Okay. At this point, we're gonna open up the meeting for public comments on any matter. Comments will be heard via Zoom using the credentials posted on the town's website, limited to 5 minutes per person, and identify yourselves and your hamlet.
Okay, do we have anybody in the meeting room who wants to make a comment on any other matter?
I would.
Go ahead,
Hi,
Ellen,
Ellen
state your
Hoyle,
name and
Riverhead.
hamlet. Ellen, state your name and hamlet, please. I'm sorry, I just missed it.
Sure. Ellen Hoyle, Riverhead.
Right, go ahead.
I'm just trying to get an idea. I know that under the COVID emergency executive orders, you have the ability to change and hold meetings as you declare. And I'm just wondering if the intent in the future is to continue to hold town board meetings at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
What's the question again?
She's questioning whether it's the intent to continue to host town board meetings at 2 o'clock, even beyond when you're in a state of emergency. I think that's your question, Ellen, is it?
Well, if even during, as we're getting into a more lax period, is your intention to continue to hold these meetings at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Well, the ones that are scheduled for 10 o'clock, that was adopted through resolution, we're gonna keep those.
But
And
what about the
were-
ones that were originally scheduled at 6 o'clock at night?
Okay, they were gonna continue at 2 o'clock, it was a decision that was made, And,
Okay, was that decision determined at this point for your own convenience or for the public?
This is for security purposes. We're not gonna have this building open.
What security purpose could be served by holding them in
To
the
limit
afternoon
access to
as
the
opposed to
building.
6 o'clock in the afternoon?
Okay.
She's saying after COVID, after the executive
After
orders
COVID,
are
we're
done.
going
No, I'm not talking about after COVID, I'm talking about now.
We'll go
We're in
into 2
phase
o'clock.
4.
Fine, we're going-
Nobody's allowed in the building, wait, let me finish. We're in phase 4, nobody's allowed in. So other than your own personal convenience, meetings at 2 o'clock at noon rather than 6 o'clock at night.
He's asking the
Did
reasoning.
anybody say this was for anybody's personal convenience?
No.
Okay, so why don't you state the facts?
And Ms. Oy, you
Okay,
made a
all
comment?
meetings not being, all meetings not being held at 6 o'clock at night like they.
I can't understand what you're saying.
It's hard to hear you, you're breaking up. We're having trouble with the audio. Your audio, I guess.
Higher than at 6 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Okay,
think
I'm
we-
not sure what you understand, but we have made a decision as a board and the emergency.
I know, I understand.
There is no personal indication here, it is for the safety, and that's under executive order, we're gonna continue the 6 o'clock at 2 o'clock, and they're gonna remain so, and I don't know if you can hear me, but when we do leave and we do go back to, normal, we will,
No.
without an executive
No,
order.
because there may be, my question is, why are we still having them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon rather than at 6 o'clock at night as they originally had? There's no reason not to have them at 6 o'clock at night anymore.
Okay, that's your opinion, and you made your comment, and we're gonna move forward, and I already.
So your answer is you have no real answer.
You can say whatever you want, thank you for your comments, and
Okay.
we're moving on, and they're gonna stay at 2 o'clock, Ms. Foyle.
Okay, Chip.
Have a good evening.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody
It's
else
almost
for
6
public
o'clock, by the
comments?
way.
Anybody else for public comments? Kathy, go ahead, state your name and hamlet.
Kathy McGraw, Northville.
Okay.
In the vote on Resolution 360, Councilwoman Giglio asked if EPCAL runways were exempt from that new language. And I believe the answer was yes, and I'm just curious to know the basis for that.
The legislation states that any airport or facility owned by the town or by the CDA would be exempt from the application of a new law. That's what the statute says.
But once sold to EPCAL, why would the new language not apply to them?
I don't believe that was the question. The question was it exempting the CDA or town property? And to the extent that it exempts a town or CDA property, the legislation exempts that. As far as the future use and the question if a successor comes into it, whether they're entitled to whatever use is established at that time, that's a different question. The question was whether this legislation provided an exemption and whether the exemption now covers a airfield owned by the town and or by the CDA, and the exemption was changed to state that. That's the question, and that's the answer.
So it would not, this new legislation would not apply to a buyer of town land. They would have to go through Section A and get a special permit.
If you bought a use that was established by the municipality, I think you would get that use. But that's not the question that's here. The question here is the legislation, which was amended to include bans on seaplane operation, amphibious aircraft, establishment of airports, was there going to be a change to that subsection which provided an exemption? The answer is yes. The exemption was changed so that it not only provided an exemption for town-owned airfields, but CDA-owned airfields. That's the answer. I don't want to go out on the other stuff because that's a different question. And the legislation doesn't address that question. The legislation provides an exemption.
for CDA, for any property owned by the CDA. I just want to clarify that. Not necessarily for any property the CDA sells for the successor who owns the property.
It provides an exemption today for any property that is owned by the town of Riverhead or by the CDA where there may or may not be an airfield established. That's what it does. I'm not sure how else to answer the question.
Well, you could simply tell me whether, in your opinion, your legal opinion.
I advise the town board, I advise the town board with all due respect. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Unmute yourself. Video.
Yes.
Blast, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I did. Thank you. My name is Barbara Blass. I live in Jamesport. I had a question about the NextEra project. As you remember, it's a 22.9 megawatt ground-based solar utility that's on approximately 200 acres in Calverton. And there was such a sense of urgency in adopting the neg deck, which occurred back on February 4th. But the board has yet to schedule the public hearings on the site plan and the special permit. So I'm just wondering what the status of that application is.
We've been in touch, and they know we're gonna probably put it up in a couple of weeks. That's the goal. Our attorney has reached out to their attorney, and they're working on whatever has to be ironed out. And we should have it up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Yes, we are going forward with the public hearing.
Okay, and then I have another comment. With regard to the Riverhead Solar 2 application that was submitted by S-Power about 3 weeks ago, I note in reading the application that they coordinated with the DEC and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in their preparation of Exhibit 22-2, which is entitled Woodland Preservation and Bird Conservation Area. And on that map, it calls out almost all of the westerly parcel of NextEra that's proposed for solar panels as the important bird area. It seems to contradict the town's analysis of the site and its conclusion that there would be no environmental impacts from the proposed project. And I'm just wondering if the town should review that particular information to determine whether its neg deck was justified. That concludes my comment.
Jeff, can you, yes.
I thought she said.
Oh, it is, that's right.
Yeah,
He's
it's
not-
Article 10.
Didn't she say one?
No, she said X-Power.
She said 2.
She said 2.
S-Power-
That's
S-Power
before the state right now, because of the magnitude of the project, it gets reviewed by them.
Yes, it's before the state, but you have an obligation. You're part of the interveners. You have to comment. This is a project that their information actually contradicts, what the town found on the same piece of property. And just because it's at the state, that doesn't mean that we don't have input. We certainly do. Mr. Kozakevich, Mr. Murphy were interveners, I believe. We have representatives from our municipality and the county for that very reason, to make sure that everybody's comments are.
Let's hear from our planner on this.
We did submit comments. I think they were
Were
compiled
extensive.
and put together by.
Town, just for the record, the town did not issue a neg deck on this project. This is going through an Article 10 process through the state. So I don't understand what the question
Didn't
may
we
be.
hire Jeff Seaman to help us compile
He did.
the information and write the areas of concern that the town board had at the work session?
Jeff Seaman compiled those comments. Yes, he did, on behalf of the town.
You're miss.
No, I think, I just want to make sure, I want to kind of restate what you said, Barbara, because I think I understand it, but I want to make sure I understand it, and therefore, we can take another look.
Thank you.
I think your question is one, you're reviewing the Riverhead Solar 2 project, which is the one that's presently before the state, and you making reference to an appendices or a document that's part of that submission, which raised a question concerning potential environmental significance with regard to the Riverhead Solar 2 project that has
Correct.
either a common area or a shared area with the NextEra project. Is that the question?
That is correct.
Okay. And what you're asking us to do is look at that particular piece of the Riverhead Solar 2 submission and then take a look at the Nextera and see if we should re-examine that.
That's exactly correct, Bob, thank you.
Okay, and that's, you said 22.2?
22.2, it's
Okay.
item number 64 in the matrix.
Okay, thank you. All
You're
right.
very welcome.
You'll-
My pleasure.
And appreciate it.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Hearing no one, can I have a first and a second to, close the town board meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second? Hello?
I
You
wanna
wanna
stay here
stay
all
here?
night.
He wants to stay here
Come
all
on,
night.
can I get a second? Catherine, can you second, please?
Second.
I second.
Oh, you did, I did. Okay, all opposed, all in favor, so moved, and it's 5 o'clock, somewhere. Thank you and have a good evening.